This is the GPL Podcast from GopherPuckLive.com. This podcast is sponsored by Jerry Peters and First Class Mortgage. Our expertise, your peace of mind. Visit us at FirstClassMortgage.com. Now let's start the show with your hosts, Jupiter and Vigo. Good evening and welcome to the GPL Podcast, episode number 207. Well, Vigs, another weekend, another split. And I know that I know Bob wasn't, he was still happy with Saturday, but I wasn't. Because he says we made 3 mistakes, but they were just huge mistakes that shouldn't be happening this time of year.
And they're mistakes that have been happening over and over again.
Yes.
And it's just, you're hoping to see some growth out of this team. And when you see mistakes come up like that in key times, especially if this team is finding it difficult to score goals, it's going to cost you. So I think it was a frustrating weekend for the fans.
Yeah. Well, let's bring in one of those fans who we've had on the podcast. We had him on last season. He was a popular guest, John King. Let's bring him on here. John, there he is. How you doing, John?
Hey, boys. How are you? Good to see you.
Are you frustrated like us?
It would be nice to win 2 games in a row. Though I think the Gophers could beat an NHL team one night and then lose to anybody the next night. But
that's the really frustrating part. I mean, you look at Friday Night Vigs, and I think both teams were on. Excellent game, back and forth, tight, very defensive. Minnesota gets kind of the bounces in overtime, and whatever, and Myers puts it in an open net. Then Friday is just a completely different thing.
Yeah, I thought the first game, that was probably the best we've seen Minnesota play for 60 minutes. I thought there was really no let up to their game throughout. And Michigan forecheck, back check, paycheck, they were doing all 3. Like, that was very impressive. I thought Michigan answered the bell as well. They got the early goal, and I thought what the most impressive thing was the Gophers never got away from their game. We've seen so often where their players, every time they get the puck, they're thinking, I got to put this team on my back, go coast to coast, be the hero. We saw a lot of smart plays at the blue line. We saw players getting going in the cycle, and we saw players getting back on defense. We saw shift discipline, like all the things that you wanted to see, you saw that Friday night.
And then on the flip side, John, as a fan, I'm watching that first period. They get the 1-0 lead, put a ton of pressure on it. And I literally tweeted out, they better get some more goals here because Michigan's going to find their game. And maybe they might not have found their game like they usually did, but boom, it was 2-1 by the end of the period. And then Minnesota did nothing the rest of the game. That's just so frustrating.
Yeah, and I watched the Friday game on the road on DVR, and that was like a Matsko Picasso. I mean, that was like the game he wants his team to play for a full, all 3 periods. And then I had tickets Saturday, so I'm like, oh no. I don't know which one's bad, Jekyll or Hyde. I don't know, but I'm like, this is not going to be the same game. But then they scored right away. And Michigan's weird because they got the Fab Five, and that Brisson. It's just like you just blink because really the Gophers played well. They were kind of dominating the game, and then there would just be a second, and it was just bang, bang. I mean, they have some high-end skill.
And that's where all that frustration comes, Vigs.
Well, I think the frustration comes from the fact that the Gophers possessed the puck the majority of Saturday night. I thought very rarely were they hemmed in their own zone. You only saw maybe a handful of shifts where they got pinned, and you felt like just getting out of the zone was going to be a win for that line. But you see these transition plays where Michigan has that 3rd or 4th player that either the guy in the back check says, I don't need to worry about that guy. I'm going somewhere else. Or they think the rush is over and they go to play the point and they just left somebody in front of the net. It's just like things like that in their game are so immature that it's surprising. And you can't sweep high-level teams when you make mistakes like that because, as Kinger was saying, there's a lot of talent on that Michigan roster. I mean, there were so many draft picks in this weekend. You can't make mistakes like that and get away with it.
And that's
that goalie too.
He is a big guy.
Oh my God. He's literally the thing people sit around and talk about. Like, what if you just had a humongous human play goalie? I mean, he is so damn big. I'm like, how in the hell are you going to score? He's athletic. He's gigantic. I mean, that's a problem. I don't know what you do there. He is so massive.
You get him moving, though, Viggs.
You either get him moving or you make him have to drop down and have to scramble for rebounds. Because one thing that I thought Minnesota did was I thought they were just shooting to put pucks on net. They weren't shooting with a purpose to create rebounds. And when there were shots with rebounds, players were not ready and in position to collect them and put them in the net. And that's the really frustrating thing is against a goalie like that, when he's making a lot of saves, he's challenging shooters, he's so big, you can't miss the net. You can't shoot it up into his gloves because that's what that big 6'6" goalie wants. Put it in his feet. That's a long way from his eyes. When you're 6'6" and you go down and you're looking for the puck, there are a lot of times pucks were under his pads and you could just tell he wasn't totally comfortable with where that puck was. And you could see McLaughlin like hammering away trying to find one of those. You need more of that.
His feet were usually kicking the net off.
And that's what Corey's saying. He'll just push the goal up. And I will say one thing, Friday night, Viggs, I was down there. I could clearly see one of the pegs was a good inch short of going all the way down. And the Michigan goalie's not stupid. When he says something's wrong here, and the referees even see something's not quite right, they're going to give him the benefit of the doubt, Viggs, unfortunately.
Well, especially at Mary G. I heard a little birdie say that after the game, the refs say it's really hard to make those kinds of delay game calls at Mary G because they know that net is pretty loose.
I didn't know that.
I think what I was a little more disappointed with, maybe Bob's just trying to keep the morale up. He's like, oh, I think we played so great. But we just had those 3 mistakes. And, I understand that. They played well. But as I would say, at this time of year, these kind of mistakes can't happen. They just can't. Even against talented teams. We've seen them in the past, Viggs, when they play good teams. They don't give up those kind of opportunities. That's what's so disappointing to me.
Yeah, as Ryan is saying here in the comments, is the locker room that fragile? I hate to say that it is, but that's just kind of the impression you get coming out of a series like this, is that he's just trying to say, hey, let's stay together. Let's focus on the positive. Let's worry about the process more than the result. But, this dropped him down to 11 in the pairwise and really makes the stretch ahead super difficult for them, because if they start falling behind in weekends, they could be dropping to the bottom of the bubble really quickly.
Well, let's get into something a little more positive. John, is there a podcast you don't host these days? I can count at least 3 of them right now.
Tried. It was all master plan to make everybody completely sick of me. But I do like what we got going. Pull Tab Sports is something we're building, kind of a Midwestern sports and entertainment hub. And, we've got a wild podcast, myself and Ryan Carter. I hear Ryan's a pretty special guy. I didn't know him that well before we started doing it. And every time I sit down with him, it's so fun. And we don't do the normal stuff on that one. So we're not talking about enter we shit, or it's more the guy's going to be able to sneak out of the hotel in New York after Friday night's Ranger game if they don't play the Islanders until Sunday. So we just try to be a little looser, and we got 3 podcasts. So,
okay. One question I do have for you is, have you gotten your bidet yet? It sounds like
my brother has a bidet.
Or is the hot water and the sphincter just not quite what you're looking for yet?
Well, he did give me a hard time about him. He said it, and I get pretty
you're cutting out there again.
Gross with.
Uh-oh.
Wi-Fi's a little spotty. I don't think Kinger's in a Civic right now, but
he's totally gone now. Look at him. He's frozen. How about that, Biggs?
Yeah,
there
it happens.
Wait, he's trying to fix things. My comments were he was, on his Sunday Morning Coming Down podcast this week. He was talking about some bidets and how he's not sure he can have the hot water on himself like that. Wait, it looks like you're a little bit better connection now. Care to comment on the hot water and the sphincter part?
Yeah, my brother got a bidet. I gave him a hard time, but he says you really got to try it because it is pretty gross to wipe with just dry paper. Seems like it could be cleaner. Maybe the French are onto something.
I remember Declan Goff from Score North was talking about bidets and his interests. And he became an influencer, and some company sent him one to install in his unit. So, one week you get socks, maybe the next week you get a bidet.
And that's just this. I have thought about it. I don't know if I could do that, Biggs.
Well, I've got young kids in my house. If we introduce a bidet to a 7 and a 9-year-old, I mean, we could have a Geico ad happening in my house or something. We could have water dripping from the ceiling, and we don't know if it's a pool party up there or if it's a bidet accident. So maybe someday in my future when I'm older and have more flexibility for life changes like that, but I'm not ready for it right now.
So I still enjoy the Sunday Morning Coming Down podcast. That was just the most recent one. I hadn't quite gotten through it yet. You talk about your Stanley on the 7th with Ryan Carter. Where are you guys doing that? Looks like you're in a studio for that now. Obviously, you're doing video on it as well.
Green Studios, outstanding.
The Wi-Fi is not doing so good for you, Kinger.
We're gonna have to get a Wi-Fi sponsor as well for Saturday Morning Coming Down. They're not used to the professional, setup there.
Yeah, he keeps freezing. We keep losing you, Kinger. Got a hard connection? Maybe.
I don't know. This could be a phone situation. Could be a rogue on a phone.
Could be. Maybe. Okay, well then let's get into this, Biggs. Obviously, we had we lost him, man. Let me pop him off for a little bit. We've got Motzko maybe playing things a little gently with the team, and maybe trying to keep some egos in check. I don't know, because I see those mistakes, and it's just like these shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to develop a team with the schedule Minnesota plays. They have those difficult non-conference games at the start of their year. That's really challenging to get guys up to speed. He has a lineup right now where he's trying to get those 5 freshmen all involved, and it's been kind of spotty with him being able to do that. And so you see him now turning to Huglin as a very counted on center for his lineup. He's been putting Burrows back in there in some more high profile situations. He's one of those players that lost his back check. Mason Nevers, he's trying to count on him with a little more ice time. He's one of the players that lost their back check. He's really coddling that Walker line. And I didn't think they had that bad of a weekend. I actually thought they played one of their better 2 games in a row that they played this year. But he knows that he needs that line to be successful.
Well, right away,
especially with the Olympics coming up.
Right away, Viggs, I thought Bob was listening to the podcast because he put Walker on Wing Friday evening, and they win the game.
And I thought he looked good at wing. I thought Brodzinski looked good separated from Walker McLaughlin. You saw Walker looking at the defense at the point, and you could tell that defenseman is like, I don't want to overhandle this puck because I know if I make a mistake, Walker's going to beat me the other way. And you just put that kind of pressure on the other team. Maybe that's the most effective way to use Walker in college hockey. He's already admitted that Walker will not be a center as a pro, so why force it? Just enjoy the centers that you do have that can play there. I mean, Myers, while you have them, I think Perbix has been looking more reliable as a center, and now Huglin. Just play those three centers then in most of these games and go from there rather than just trying to force this situation.
Okay, Kaner, it looks like you got a little bit better connection now. I was just kind of here. The last question I had for you is, it looks like you're doing some kind of studio work, and obviously about quite a bit of video work on your Stanley on the 7th podcast with Carter. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, we do that at Green Screen Studios down by the U, and I have a great setup. I got all the gear, and that's just been a treat. To how it is when you sit down with your co-host and you're going to have fun for an hour, and this team on the Wild side is, you can kind of tell those guys love each other, and I think the fans love them because they love each other.
I've been being a little tempered on the Wild this year, but even Royce, he was doing a story today about how often they're scoring with an extra man, sometimes down 2 goals and still coming back in time. I believe they've done it 3 times this year. There's a lot of excitement over with the Wild, and I'm trying to keep it tempered because maybe it's just the Minnesota thing. Don't get too excited, but the Wild are going to be really busy. But this is a fun time to have this kind of podcast and start kind of pushing up the team a bit.
And that's kind of the whole idea, is to take soda out of Minnesota fans and try to break the mold. That's why it's called Stanley on 7th. Like, allow yourself to imagine that State of Hockey could win the Stanley Cup, which is really crazy. It's never happened and we don't talk about it. So that's kind of the whole thing. Jupiter, that's exactly right.
And that, if I recall, that's kind of what you were saying right at the beginning. Why aren't we thinking that way? Why isn't that always the goal? I mean, like you said, it would be amazing here. The only thing I think that could top that would be an actual Super Bowl win. We've done the Twins before. That's the highest we've been. I think the Wild would be right on par with that, probably a little higher because State of Hockey. And really the only thing that could beat that would be the Vikings, which is been let down enough by them. So, I mean,
cars would be on fire.
Not my car. I would keep my car far away. Don't need that happening. You got anything else in the hopper? What else? What else is going on in your brain? I know that according to the Sunday morning podcast, you're not doing as much drinking now. You're kind of rethinking some of those things, but you've always got something going. I mean, hockey tournaments coming up. There's pressure. Got to keep the hockey hair thing going. A lot of things going on with you right now.
Well, I will say I'm really excited.
I don't know. He's frozen again.
It's challenging. It's challenging to work the
it's like he's almost got a Where's Waldo hat too. We can see him great, which is strange that we're getting video but not audio.
It's a little spotty. Maybe his Wi-Fi is going through a dry January too. I hope it's not doctor imposed.
Ooh, boy.
It's tough because, with the GPL Podcast Beer of the Week, I put a lot of planning and prep into that every week.
You do?
Yeah. So it takes some prior preparation to prevent piss poor performance on that one.
I'll pull him off here until I see him unfrozen again. Oh, look at some of the questions. He says, like, Ryan Corey's got great stories. And he says the spitting chicklets. Oh, wait a second. Sammy was back at center. It was 27.
Yep, we noticed that in the third. And I thought Brodzinski in the first two periods actually looked better than he did when they got reunited in the third period. So I think not only did it maybe affect that line a little bit, but I think it took Brodzinski off his game a little bit more. In that first two periods, you saw Brodzinski, being that third guy in and getting the puck back to him. Sometimes I feel like when he's with Walker and McLaughlin, the puck gets down to the goal line and it's not coming back out to that trailer. Like, that is not always the look unless it's McLaughlin who has the puck. And usually that happens later in the opportunity. So we'll see. I think Bob is kind of resigned to the fact that he's going to stick with Sammy at center. Coaches kind of do what they know. And I know that they don't have a lot of depth down the middle. Next year, I think Motzko envisions Lucius playing down the middle, but right now they just don't want to put that kind of responsibility on him at center. So they're just kind of protecting him a little bit.
Right now, I'm just setting up to send Kinger the link via email so he can get on his laptop. So just give me a second here to get some of that going, hopefully, Viggs. Last weekend with our Olympic guys. It kind of makes it a big weekend, Viggs.
Yeah, this is a huge weekend, I think, for Minnesota. Notre Dame has been scoring a little bit more this season than historically they have in the past. So I think you can't come into these games thinking 2 is enough. You're going to have to find a way to get 3. And I think you're going to have to find ways to get more scoring than just the Myers line. Because I think we saw Michigan do a lot of focus on that line and really try to prevent them from getting second opportunities, which is where they've gotten a lot of their chances. They just get these dominating shifts. I thought Michigan did a good job of closing them down a little bit and limiting them to one chance. So they're going to have to find ways to get other scoring. And I'm not sure how Bob's going to do it. That second power play unit, I was pretty amazed when I was doing that breakdown on Sammy last week that I realized he has 0 power play points on the season. None.
When you told me that, I'm like, boom.
I know.
And
right?
And I started mentioning it to people before you even arrived, and they're like, "What?
Yeah,
are you serious?"
And you can see it. I think it's impacting his play on the power play.
Oh, yeah, it's a big problem. It's a huge problem, Viggs.
I'm sure he knows that he doesn't have a power play point on the year before I even said it, because you can just see when he gets the puck on the power play, he kind of stares it down a little bit. And by then, goalies have gotten squared up to him, and then it's a turnover. It's not a real scoring chance. So it's been curious. I know Bob's tried a couple other parts to that unit where he keeps Walker and McLaughlin out there. I thought Kester has looked good on the point for power play units, but they just don't get into a rhythm with that unit, and they're not very dangerous. I feel like the part that makes the Myers unit so dangerous is they get second and third chances when they have the puck. And I think they do a really good job of maintaining consistent pressure for 60, 70, 80 seconds. But the Walker unit is often a one and done unit.
Now he's had a quiet weekend by his standards, according to Corey V there. Why not come back another year and dominate week in, week out? Well, he did score Friday night. It was actually quite the goal. I mean, he pretty much knocked that puck out of the air at a sharp angle. And Portillo never saw it coming.
And that's the kind of play you needed against a goalie like that, is a play tight, down by his feet, transition, getting him going side to side. Holes open up. As much as we were talking about being 6'6" and how that intimidating that can be, when a 6'6" goalie moves, there's going to be gaps, below the top of the leg pads. There's going to be gaps there, and you just have to find opportunities to do that.
You spoke about the power play, and there's Zach. Must be in Sammy's head at least a little bit at this point that he doesn't have. I mean, we were talking to Chris Foster's. I was saying, hey, that's a good tip you might be able to use Saturday night during the broadcast. I don't know if he did. I never got a chance to go back and watch, but
I think the only way that one comes out is if he got his first point on the power play. He could have then, dropped the Vigo bomb and said, "Hey, I heard."
You didn't tweet it though, did you?
Yeah, I did. You
did. Okay.
In the story leading up to it.
Okay.
And then the plus minus difference for those three in the wins and losses is huge. They're plus 31 in games where the Gophers win. They're minus 21 in games they lose. So as that line goes, kind of the Gophers go up or down. And I'm sure that's probably why Bob's playing them with kid gloves, is because when this team is humming, they have more than just the Myers line going.
Yeah, but also he's going to play kid gloves and hoping that they play even more effective once the 9 line is broken up.
And they're going to have to figure out something to do here. I mean, they got one more weekend where they can just lean on them heavy. I wouldn't be surprised if Myers and that group play 25 minutes a night. But at some point, they're going to have to figure out something else. And, it's not an easy stretch. I mean, they're going to be at Ohio State, at Penn State. Those have been buildings where this program has struggled lately. Ohio State looks like they could be the favorite right now in the Big Ten. I mean, with Michigan losing all the players they're losing, Minnesota losing the players they're losing, already having the goaltender lost. I thought Closer played really well on Friday, but on Saturday, he got kind of exposed on some of those scoring chances that Michigan got. Closer's not a big goalie. And when you're up against talent who can pick top corners on you, when you have to move side to side, that's going to be a problem.
And also this is where the team defense comes in. Hey, your goalie's just been swapped out. Your Richter Award guy, even though he had a struggling season. This is where you come in and you don't allow these type of things to happen.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, we were glad he had that extra game when they got to play Alaska instead of being thrown in against Michigan.
But you can allow a lot of transition shots where shooters have clear, clean looks with time to pick spots.
Look, there's Kanger.
How's this going? Is it going well so far?
That's bad Wi-Fi.
I mean, can you swear on here?
Of course you can.
I mean, fuck. God damn it. Well, I'm back. I'm going to really come on strong now. This is going to be like a bad Friday, good Saturday.
Hey, that's why we have you on, man. Can you hold it a little bit, though? Because actually, let's get in this commercial. Quicker we get to the commercial, quicker we get to more stuff, and basically the quicker we get the overtime, which is kind of what we like anyway. So let's hear from our sponsor first.
Hey, fellow GPLers, Jerry Peters here from First Class Mortgage. Have you refinanced your home in the last 12 months? If you haven't, chances are you should. Record low interest rates and skyrocketing home values make this the perfect time to remove monthly PMI while improving your interest rate at the same time. You can also use the equity in your home to finance those home improvement projects. Or you can consolidate high interest rate credit cards into one new low monthly payment. To hear more, call or text me today at 612-940-3291. You can email me at jerry@firstclasscorp.com. Or you could go to firstclassmortgage.com to fill out a free online application. Mention the GPL podcast and receive a $300 closing cost credit. Some restrictions do apply. First Class Mortgage's NMLS number is 322842 -480200. This is not an agreement to lock into an interest rate under Minnesota law. First Class Mortgage is an equal housing lender.
Okay, Kinger, let us have it. How you feeling? Well, you've got a really good connection now.
It seems good. Hey, we got a pack though. If I have any more problems, you just cut my neck, and we never look back, and we don't ever speak about this. Okay, so
I did eventually just kick you out there. I'm like, boom.
What I was trying to say before is we got to talk about this 9 line.
Yeah.
They are so. I think when Bob sleeps at night, That's what he dreams the Gopher team is. I mean, Matthew Nye's neck is as big as a thigh. Myers, the Lucius kid, it's the greatest. I mean, now there's only 3 of them, but what a treat.
Viggs, I don't know. I'm not the professional, X's and O's like you are, but it seems to me, but it's just puck control, puck control, puck control. Protect the puck. Protect the puck. And I see those guys do such a good, they're so strong on their skates. They protect the puck. That's why they always have it.
I mean, Myers is your prototypical Bob guy. He wants a guy from a small town who's hungry, who's got very little ego, who works incredibly hard and kind of leads with his eyes. I don't think Ben Myers is in there giving a big speech, a big monologue at the start. He's just looking guys in the eyes and they get it. Like, that's how he leads. And then he goes out and does it with some flair and some aggression. And he has really taken a leap to the next level now that he's healthy. He couldn't really shoot the puck the first couple of weeks of the year. He had some upper body injury that was affecting that. And now he can drive to the net and put pucks on net, and it's really showing. And Nyes has just been a revelation this year. I was not expecting that from him because I remember watching some of his Tri-City games last year. So I'm like, who is this kid? He's from Arizona. He's got foreign parents. What's the deal? And he wasn't that impressive in that first half of the junior. The second half of the year, he kind of took off. This summer, I don't know what he did, but he just took a leap. And now Lucius kind of fills in there, slowly gaining confidence, a lot of skill, a lot of fancy. Good match with those two.
And even the name, the Nines, like it's like the sixes on Yellowstone. It's like if we could send the rest of the team to hang out with Miroslav and Michaela Nyes, maybe send them to the house. I just think we got to find a way to replicate that blue collar, big bodies. I don't know, man. I think more of that, please.
Well, I want to say one thing I noticed, especially on that game-winning goal when they were on the power play there, Viggs, 4-on-3. When they brought it back into the zone, it got to Nyes. And when he started getting into traffic, he literally protected the puck and turned away. Just with the thought, if I do it this way, it's a safer puck. He goes, back to Myers back over, and then obviously Lacombe with the touch pass over. But it all started with that puck control and protecting the puck, Viggs, and not losing it.
And that's what makes their power play so dangerous, is they know when they have to protect the puck and when they can try something a little fancy. They pick their spots very, very well. Now, I keep going to my poker analogies, but these guys know how to play the odds. They don't put themselves in bad positions because they're good card players. They know when to hold them and when to fold them.
And, I captured that video. What I ended up putting the longer video out, Viggs. When Jess Myers started saying, hey, they're still out there. What he said, the Niners, whatever, are still out there. A couple seconds later, they deserve it, Jess. Or they earned it. No, they earned it, I believe is what you said, Viggs. Mm-hmm. And then literally a half second later, the puck's in the back of the net. Because they were out there quite a while.
They were, but they put themselves in good positions. They're not chasing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in control and you're on a 4-on-3 power play like that, you're not getting that winded. It's when you have to chase everything and you're in a bunch of chaos, which is something that happens with the other power play group. They're just chasing all the time. So they did earn it, and they got the goal, which is what we were expecting.
We've been a little down on Walker lately, Kinger. It's
hard. It's really hard.
I don't know. You might have heard some of that stuff, Viggs last week when he found out that, Walker doesn't have a point on a power play this year. That's bad.
Well, he's really got the opportunity during this Olympic break to keep us together. If I were Don, I'd give him the Lucius kid, throw him up there maybe with McLaughlin and Sammy, and just say, keep us afloat. Get us to the tournament. We can't have a dip. We're right on the bubble. So, And I think he scored in the playoffs, or he's had some goals that mattered at different points. It seems like.
Oh yeah, he's. I mean, Walker scored the game winner against Michigan in overtime last year.
Yeah, so I think he'll rise to the occasion. McLaughlin's, doing his thing. So I hope they kind of look in the mirror with these studs going to the Olympics and say, we got to keep the foot on the gas.
And Viggs, it's like maybe it is one of those things. It's like, hey, if we listen to Bob, we do the smart things, it'll pay off.
We will see about that. I'm more of the impression that, okay, we have 8 weeks or 6 weeks of hockey left here ahead. What they've done so far has not been working for that group. I would probably be putting them in some uncomfortable situations rather than letting them continue to be comfortable. I would split up Walker and McLaughlin after this weekend and say, you guys are impactful players. Quit catering to each other and work for a different group of guys. Maybe I'd put Cruikshank and Sorensen with Walker and say, Walker, you're going to go on the wing. You're going to have 2 responsible, big athletes who can help you get pucks. Go be you. Be the free spirit of that little town on the west side and streak down the ice and score goals. McLaughlin, you are an Iron Range kid. Go dig out pucks for Lucius. Lucius is going to score goals. Go get him the puck, and try to separate guys that way. Maybe put him with Perbix, who's another kind of nasty guy. And now you've got Lucius, Perbix, and McLaughlin working together.
Pitlick coming back.
And you've got Pitlick coming back, and he's really fast. And so you find a way to put him in the lineup in a position to be successful. There are options for this team. You just can't keep putting out the same lineup and just expect it to eventually click.
Because that would be insanity, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Some people.
Well, let's get into this weekend. Notre Dame's always some close series, Viggs. We've had a little bit better luck against them lately. But still, they've been improved. They're different, like Motzko said at the weekly media. They're a different team than they were when we played them and swept them here.
They're a little bit different team, but one thing that's exciting, I think, for this weekend is Notre Dame usually gives a little bit of space to another team. And so I think that little bit of space that they tend to give is good for Minnesota. It gives them a little more opportunity to show off their skill. McLaughlin's always done well in this matchup. I don't expect that to change.
Yeah.
They tried him out to the media today, and he's like, I don't know. That's just Notre Dame. I play well there. And it's a good chance for them to go on the road and figure things out there too.
What are your thoughts on the weekend, Kinger? I mean, what do you want to see before the Olympic guys leave? I mean, we know that 9 line's great, but is it something like, hey, break up Walker and McLaughlin and see what happens?
I like what Vigo was saying, get them uncomfortable, kind of, I guess, burn the forest so you can get some new growth. But I did look at Notre Dame's kind of their schedule, what they've been doing. They seem kind of scary. They swept Michigan. They just smoked Boston College about 8-2. So, I mean, they on paper, they look like they're a pretty nice squad, unless I'm missing something. I know we had some success earlier in the year, but this would be a weekend if we could put 2 wins together. That would be, I guess Hyde and Hyde or Jekyll and Jekyll, whatever the good one is. Let's do that.
They've actually done well to get to overtime quite a few times, in the last month, Viggs. Winning. I think both their wins in Ann Arbor, weren't they, like overtime wins, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Notre Dame's a bad team by any means. They're scary, and I think they're playing more aggressive and more offense than we've seen from them in the past, and they've got good talent. I just think it's an opportunity for Minnesota to maybe capitalize on some space. It's just something we've seen in this matchup. There is space for Minnesota to do things with the puck, and they've been able to do good things when that's happened. I think that Gophers have struggled when teams get in their face, when there's hard forechecks, lots of physicality. Minnesota sometimes shies away from that and gets a little panicky on the puck. And so you see that when they play Duluth, Michigan, North Dakota, St. Cloud. You see this kind of fear creep into the game a little bit. You don't see that same kind of reaction when they play Notre Dame.
How about special teams, Viggs? We know Myers got the goal, 4-on-3 overtime, probably a little different situation. We need some consistency there.
They need to change things up. I think teams have scouted them pretty well and knows they like to work from the flanks, get rebounds, and create chaos from there. Other teams are taking that away. So Minnesota's tried to, do some things down low along the goal line with some jam plays, but they just haven't been able to get to the loose pucks there. And it's frustrating that they still don't have a weapon from up top who can pound pucks on net from the point.
Mm-hmm.
They just do not have that in their lineup right now. I know at the start of the year, Bob said, Faber's looking like he's got a shot this year. He could be on that point and hammer pucks down from up there, and that could change our power play a little bit. We're just not seeing that from Lacombe and Kester right now. They're not a threat to shoot, and other teams know that, and they don't honor it. So they take away the flanks really well, and then Minnesota doesn't get a lot of movement on their power play. So Bob hinted at that availability today. They have to figure out something different with their power play. They've been scouted, and teams know what to take away. And Minnesota has the puck on the power play. They have the opportunity to get possession and get scoring chances. They're just not executing.
Now, before we get into predictions, a couple other things that I wanted to get into with the Michigan series with you, Kinger. And it's not really Michigan related. It's that little reunion they had Saturday evening with the 2002 and 3 teams with about 10 guys, 12 guys showed up. Played a couple videos on the screen, didn't introduce anybody. A lot of guys never showed up. A lot of the names, I would say, Hauser was there, but Kowalska was there. But I was very disappointed with what the U kind of did. It's like they just trotted them out there real quick and, okay, then we're done. How was it your viewpoint on that whole thing?
Well, God, it was a great couple years, wasn't it? What do they say? You win a championship together, you walk together forever. So I know I sure would be. I'd be, until I'm in the wheelchair, I'd be there and with the little tiny 2002 and 3 flags they were handing out. But yeah, I don't know what was going on there. It was hockey day. So you had a lot going on. A lot of these guys coach, Vanek's a coach. And so you might have just got tangled up in, they arguably did it on the busiest hockey day of the whole season, so maybe that was part of it. But yeah, I'd love to see, I would have hoped there was a lot more pageantry and kind of remind people what that felt like.
I do know one thing that I heard from one of those players that was at the reunion. Boy, they're really disappointed that it was a half empty arena, because that's just not something they had back then. It wasn't in the vocabulary. Back then, they still had 7,500 sold season tickets. And now they come back, big reunion, and Saturday night was definitely not as full as Friday night. Friday night was a pretty good night. That was disappointing, Viggs. And they were disappointed, I bet.
Yeah, it's unfortunately the way things are. I've talked to Jordan Leopold about this in the past. He's like, he wants to bring his family to the rink and show them the banners and see a packed house. And he's like, when I was here, this was the thing. And it is not 2002, 2003 again.
What would you think?
It's a very different.
If a Leo or a Pole or a Wheeler spoke out about it,
I don't think it would help.
Does
it look good for those guys to publicly, berate the program? Are they helping
not
the
program,
solution?
the administration.
It's super complicated. Mark Coyle has a very complicated job with Minnesota. They're 140 some million in debt. They're coming out of a pandemic where they had to take a $40 million loan to make things right on their books, and they're going to have to pay that off too. That's like another capital project thrown at them. It's challenging. The Wild right now are barnstorming the state and the NHL with their high flying young Russian and entertaining hockey. And, that just is a different atmosphere than Mary G can provide. Excel is a beautiful, beautiful building, it's all that glass and all that light and the big shiny scoreboards. It's a different thing. And I think people will put that up against Gopher hockey and try to compare them. it's a tough comparison to win right now.
It is. I just kind of wanted to get both your thoughts on it, just because, I know those guys are kind of disappointed. And like you said, 12 of them or whatever showed up. It just looked bad all around, Kinger.
Yeah, I don't know what. It's funny. I was at the games Saturday, and the guy I was with, he said, I thought there would be more people here, but there was the moment when we at one of the goals, and that feeling in your chest when the rouser's going like that. It just, and it was not even close to full, but it was still. It was that you felt it,
yes.
Right? And now it's not the same as a full house. But it, I don't know what you do about it, because there's, like, I really like Coyle, and there's this group of fans, and I say fans because they can't move past the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. They hate watch the team. They're just waiting for the photograph with the empty building, and I, at one point I said to one of my buddies, I said, man, you haven't liked this team in 20 years. You've been like around it, but you only sort of get your dander up when something bad happens. So I just think, man, move on. Like, let's and to me, it's all about NCAA titles, but if we could somehow, chip in a chair, get into the tournament, and we really are building for March. I'll tell you, that'll go a long way to changing the energy.
I'm with you 100%. Viggs and I, and you probably heard, we've talked about attendance, all this BS for years. We're sick of the Big Ten excuse. It just doesn't work for me anymore. People said all the rivalries. Shut up. I want to say those games against Michigan, those games against Notre Dame, even Penn State, even though they're an upstart new team. These are damn good games, Viggs, and they're damn good hockey. And you want to see them against, like Anchorage, a terrible CC team?
Yeah, I used to think that if Minnesota won a national title, that the people would come back. And the last couple of years have kind of changed my mindset on that. I don't think it would happen. A lot of people would be like, well, yeah, they got lucky. They won one. Like, if they snuck in as like the last at-large team like UMD did and went on to win it, I think there's a lot of people out there who would still just hold to it as like, oh, that's a fluke. It wasn't a really good team anyway. They got a good draw or something. There is that feeling out there from some people who are fans. And I don't know how to change that, but it's frustrating because I love college hockey. College hockey as a whole, I don't think has ever been better. We've got so many teams in Minnesota. We've got so many Minnesota players playing. There's so many drafted future pro players now in the college game. It's in a great spot. It's a good product, I think.
I don't care about those fans who say, complain about, oh, it's not the WCJ. That is just the worst excuse. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
I just can't. And we know the U.S. made mistakes. We know Norwood T just make mistakes. We just have to move on, Kinger.
Well, I'm curious, what do you think is going to happen down the stretch? It's a year unlike any other, right? With obviously the Bob, unbelievable situation with his family, yes. LaFontaine leaving. This Olympic thing is totally unexpected. So there's this different. It's like they're putting a puzzle together and they don't even know if they have all the pieces. So I wonder if maybe this is the year where we're not just squeezing it so tight and somehow pull a rabbit out of a hat. I just don't know. But
and Viggs, if they do win it all this year, I saw it on GPL. A couple people are going to buy us all dinner. They're going to take us out to dinner, buy us all dinner. I'm like, well, hey.
I think that only comes true if Walker stays at wing. I think if he goes back to center and they win, we lose our dinner. I think there's a fine type on that one.
You think they'll get in to the tournament?
They should. They should get in. They have enough talent. They're in a spot. The way the schedule works out, I think they can still get in, and they should get in. They're only losing Faber on their defensive core. That defensive core is still one of the best in the country, even without Brock Faber. Mm-hmm. That should be enough for them to get through the end of the season, get Myers and Nyes back, and make a run. I don't know what we're going to see at goalie. I know that the coach is talking up Closer as the guy. I think because he has to a little bit.
Yeah, but the guys love him. Says we'll get somebody else in there.
Yeah, but he is saying they're going to get somebody in there. And do you notice that every time the goalie conversation comes up, it's not Brennan Boynton? He doesn't say who it is, and he's often said Bartoszewicz is a goalie of the future for them. Maybe Bartoszewicz is going to be our savior.
Hey, I hope he's 7 feet tall.
And Boynton just got those brand new pads too, Viggs.
Yeah, Boynton got the shiny butter pads, so we'll see.
What are your predictions for this weekend, Viggs? Let's hear it.
I think we're going to see some OT games this weekend.
Ooh.
And I think you're going to see Minnesota. They're going to get 2 overtime wins on the 3-on-3.
So 4 points?
4 points. It's going to be exciting hockey on the Peacock.
That's right, people.
Peacock Premium.
Peacock Premium, $4.99 a month. Get it for a month.
I can't even get on Wi-Fi.
We're not talking about you. We're talking about the rest of the people. Get it on Peacock. Pay your $4.99. You're going to get complete Olympic coverage during that entire month.
You'll no better time to sign up for Comcast Internet and get the Peacock Premium for free.
True. Yeah, if you're on Comcast Xfinity, you get it for free. Some other systems have it for free. But if you're going to get it for a month, now is the month. Because Viggs, you'll be able to see any event just about.
Yeah, and the way the Olympics is going to work, it's going to be weird because it's Beijing, so the time is all weird. So if you want to watch anything live, I think you're probably going to have to watch it on the Peacock Premium. So it's going to be a weird Olympics.
$4.99 plus tax or whatever. So you're getting 2 games for $250 plus the Olympics, plus whatever they offer there for a month. I think it's a bargain. So listen to Viggs, get it for a weekend. All right, Kinger, what do you think?
Well, Vigo's got me convinced that this is a good matchup. He sort of he like almost said it like 30 times, but I think that's what he's telling us is that we match up good against this Notre Dame team. So hey, let's send the boys over to China with a sweep. Let's go. Let's not be negative. Let's go.
Well, it's not about being negative. It's just. But the thing is, I'm kind of thinking along your lines, Kinger. I'm thinking.
Why not?
I'm thinking 6 points, Viggs. Let's go. Like you said, I think those Olympic boys are going to be jacked. And McLaughlin is just unstoppable when he plays Notre Dame. Let's go.
We're back, baby.
Hop on the train, folks. Of course, next week, if that doesn't happen, we'll be all bitter and whatnot. But that's okay. That's okay. Well, we got to get to overtime here, Kinger, because that's the big part. So thank you for being on the podcast, though, even though you cut out for a little bit.
I'm sorry about the technical difficulties.
It's all good. We make do. That's what we do. Hey, this is a live program. We're not going to go back and do any editing. That's what we love about this, is that it's live. And that's what makes it the most fun. So
I remember back when you used to have technical problems, and now you're so pro, and I come in here and just muck it up.
Remember just a year ago, he was giving us, hey, if you guys just do this, there's a little tip here, a little tip there. And he's the one.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody.
Hey, you're a hockey guy. We can give you a hard time. You can take it.
I'll make it up to you in overtime.
There you go. Well, that's going to do it for this week's GPL podcast. We'll be back next Thursday, a day later, because I'm going to do some moving around with the schedule with
USA.
Yeah, Viggs is going to go see USA qualifier. So we're moving to Thursday, and our guest is going to be Eric Shearhorn. I thought it would be great to have him come back and kind of get his view on Mr. Close now that he's taken over. So I'm looking forward to that episode. For the rest of you, we'll see you next week. And for those listening live, stay tuned for some overtime. Thanks for listening. All right. Viggs went to go get his drink.
Wonder what he's having.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see here. Oh, let's go to this view for now. We'll go to that view. And then we'll have to highlight Viggs. Oh, he's getting his beverage, so getting ready.
I wonder what it is.
Okay. We're highlighting on you, Viggs. Look at that.
All right.
We're highlighting. Look at that.
What are you drinking?
Well, tonight I got a little something from Barrel Theory.
Nice.
Astral Barrage. So this is a 11.2 ABV Imperial Stout with hazelnut, cinnamon, and vanilla from Barrel Theory.
11.2.
11.2. I'm a big guy. Can't handle it.
That's serious.
I'm not in a dry January doctor imposed state right now. Are you breaking protocol, King? Or
so can you do a vote on overtime?
Yeah, we can do votes, I think.
So so I'm not supposed to drink because I had some stuff going on, but I got 3 choices for my vice during overtime. I could have an edible, be the first person to have an edible, maybe in overtime. That might take too long to kick in.
It might.
I could have I could try wine and see if I can do it, or I could go get some Talenti gelato and just eat ice cream while I'm talking to you. What do you ask the people, man? I'm down for whatever.
All right,
in the comments.
You heard them. You heard them, folks.
Edible, wine, gelato.
What kind of edible is that, by the way? We need some details.
Jess was trying to get me to eat an edible.
Ripple. Something called Ripple. Blood orange. I don't know.
Yeah. Going to Mariucci Saturday night, just the wrong shoes. I went down hard on the concrete. And I'm like, Jess, you got anything going on? He's like, well, I got some. He had this pill container that had all these different kinds of pills. He picked out the Advil. He goes, oh, I got an edible here if you want that. I'm like, I'll stick with the Advil for now.
Where'd you go?
Well, Ryan Gay is like all 3. We can't have him doing that. Got a 1. Wine sounds like it'll be edible. Will take about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the edible is going to take too long. I think you're right. I'm going to try the wine. We'll see what happens.
There you go.
So the gut has decided to fight back on you, huh?
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. I'm not a dry January guy, as you might imagine.
You can't have a Sunday morning coming down show and be a dry guy.
Yeah,
nothing to come down from.
It's been weird. Kind of interesting. I learned a little bit about myself, I guess. But
a little extra time on your hands.
Yeah, I sleep well. I don't have anxiety, and I don't know. That's about it. But it's been okay.
Yeah,
I think
hockey's a little different.
Yeah, I've been scoring on Tuesday nights, 2 weeks in a row. Ooh.
We got to get a skate going sometime, Viggs.
I'll be ready.
I haven't played in so long.
I coach mini mites and mites, so I'm on the ice 4 or 5 times a week. So good times. You got to give back, King. I heard you talking about giving back and planting some trees that you won't get the shade from or whatever.
I went tonight.
You did?
Herb Brooks Foundation in Highland, and it was amazing. I showed up, and a buddy told me we should go, so we went. And the main guy wasn't there. How all these things are run by like a boisterous Fayed type teacher that's doing sharks and minnows, everyone on the line. And then you just get to be like the floater guy helping the kid that's got something wrong with his skate, but the guy wasn't there. So we show up, 2 high school girls, and they go, you guys, we'll take the good skaters, you take the people who can't skate. And I'm looking at my buddy, I'm like, okay, freeze tag, sharks and minnows. It was cool. It was great, man. It's just so pure, the kids. And it does show you, man, anybody, you throw a young kid on the ice, even for an hour with goons like us trying to help them, they'll figure it out. I mean, it's pretty cool to watch the little kids just figure it out.
Yeah, I'm in Northeast Minneapolis, and so we have the Minneapolis Titans and Northeast Ice Arena as our rink. And Herb Brooks Foundation basically sponsored our Learn to Skate program this winter. And so anyone who signed up got free Learn to Skate stuff. And so all the coaches from our association take a couple skates and help out. And, you're getting the kids to learn to stand up and fall. And I'm doing puppy dogs and seals and manatees and trying to get them to do the different things. And the big key is if you can get them to stand up and go back down and stand up again, you're set. Once they have that skill set, then it's sharks and minnows and freeze tag and toilet tag and jailbreak. It's all fun from there.
I had this kid tonight. He was tiny, and he wouldn't bend his knees. And so every time he would fall,
I don't do that either.
It was like he was falling from a 4-store. He's only like 3 feet tall, but he couldn't have hit him. He could have landed harder. And I was like, I'm trying to explain to him, like, if you just bend your knees, this is all going to be so much better. But he didn't seem to understand. I probably should have used more kid language, like, hey, bounce with me. Because he wasn't getting it, but it was fun, man. I liked it. Hockey's such a great game.
Yeah, Herb Brooks is great. I'm glad to see them taking over. I know that they're going to sponsor like a training area in Northeast Ice Arena. That'll be a cool thing to see. They got the Wild strength and conditioning guy, Sean, helping out, plan that. So that'll be nice to see. Hockey in the city, my association, they're like the Mighty Ducks, so it's fun. We're on the right side of the river.
All the equipment. I've never been around the Herb Brooks Foundation, so it was like they got almost like these
IKEA bags.
Yeah, like golf bags full of sticks, 5 bins full of helmets, and I think people just roll in and just kind of figure it out. It was pretty cool for a bunch of people that probably would never be playing hockey otherwise.
Yeah, we got, I think, 6 or 7 hockey players out of the last Herb Brooks thing for Northeast. So it's cool. We get, you got kids, who aren't from Minnesota, non-natives to the country learning to skate and play hockey. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now we've got this big Dumba mural in the rink too.
That's
right. Really neat.
Yeah. They were talking about painting that. I heard about that.
Yeah. He came with his family. It was like right around the Winter Classic. Like that next day he came in and his family was taking pictures of it. It was pretty cool.
Are you guys Wild guys as well, or are you pure Gopher guys?
I was more in on the Wild. My dad is a season ticket holder since the inception of the Wild. And in my younger days, like we went to every game together. And during that playoff run where they ran into Jaguar, we went to like all those games. And I'm a Russo bonobo. I follow all the stuff that he does, and it's fun to see this team be at this point. I don't think the Wild have ever been this kind of team. So
it's that the Russian, man. It's just hope in a bottle. Talk about a franchise game changer. It's just been transformative. It's so great.
I was worried about him early in the year. Like it looked like he had maybe spent too much time having vodka and borscht or whatever over the summer.
Sometimes with hockey though, Viggs, it's like you just got to get that first one to get going.
Yeah, and just get some confidence going.
Yeah,
but he's got it now.
Oh, he might get 100 points. I mean, the highest point total for a Wild player ever, I think, is 83, Gabrick. So I am kind of just curious to watch like, yeah, this is the best we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoy it, pretty cool.
And Gabrick was a very different player too. He was kind of like, well, he's got to get a breakaway, home run, rush type player. Kaprizov seems like he can make offense out of anything. Like he'll just circle the zone a couple times, like Brian Bonin used to do in the old Gopher days.
I remember I watched that last
night.
He went around 2 times. I mean, it's like,
do you guys remember that when Brian Bonin used to do that for the Gophers? It's just like he's just start circling the offensive zone like a shark. Like which minnow am I going to pick?
Myers likes to do that.
Uh-huh.
Yep. No, it's it's good. I hope I'm interested. Like you said, that winning a national championship won't fix it. It's interesting. The problem, right? We've got this really big building. It's big. Nowadays, anybody building a college rink is building a 5,000 seat rink, or if you're Augustana, it's maybe 3,000, right? I mean, and because you're going to create this electric atmosphere, because it's small. If you want to
create demand too.
That's right. You're creating demand, and we've got this cathedral, right? So but on the other hand, it's like I don't really want to saw the top of Mariucci off and turn it into Ritter. I mean, I like this dream that if all the things add up, someday it's a full building and the chest is thumping with the Rouser, but it's a hell of a lot harder to do nowadays.
And like you were saying, when I noticed, when Myers scored that goal Friday night, the place is a little more than half full. It was still pretty loud in there.
It felt good.
Everyone talks about the acoustics, and it's not great. Yeah, the sound system's great, but it doesn't take a lot of people in there to make a lot of noise either.
I remember I was talking to a guy that played on Wisconsin, and he was telling me how much he hated the Rouser, like because it's almost it's like oppressive. Like when you hear it with the letters, it is in your chest, and if you're getting smoked, if you're Alabama Huntsville, 9-0, and it's just
and it's all coming towards you.
I know, it's like you're nailing you're
Yes.
hammering in a nail. And I love that. I felt it even on Saturday. I don't know which goal.
Well, they only got one.
The Brodzinski goal early.
Well, it was right away. So it was only half full, but it was going. We interviewed Paul Martin this week, and he kind of said the same thing you were talking about, which was some of the players were kind of perked up when even with having the crowd they had. And he was kind of like, you have no idea. Like you don't actually know what it can be like. So I think, that probably plays into some of your alumni stuff too.
Like I said, I shoot along the glass a lot of times, and I put in these earplugs there specifically because it can get very loud down there, especially if there's a big crowd there and all that sound's coming down and reflecting off the glass. I have noise canceling on because otherwise I go home and my ears are ringing. So Mariucci can be a very special place when it's pretty full.
I mean, my last great memory of the crowd was when Ehrman scored the penalty shot goal against Wisconsin, and I was in the student section for that game, and I just had my ACL repaired.
Oh no!
So I had some substances going, but that penalty shot, I feel like it was coming right at me, and it was just so loud and so euphoric in the building. You're just like, I'm so glad I'm in this spot right now.
The Nate Schmidt goal against Wisconsin to win maybe the last WCHA, I think, the 2-1 game, that was when he kind of walked the line and scored. That was that
after he saved the puck at the line, because it was almost cleared.
That night was electric. I mean, didn't they sell out once last year? They really made an effort to sell out one night of one series.
It was a Wisconsin game. I think it was pre-pandemic, and they did like throwback pricing on all the concessions. They had the scoreboard and like old-timey graphics and stuff, and they really hyped it up, and that game sold out.
They should do that. Just get loose with it. Try more stuff.
They're so limited with their staff. Like they are so focused on selling football tickets. And then once football ends, they get a little more freedom to do stuff with hockey, which you're seeing now, like with the 2002, 2003 team trying to do what they can, but they're just not very organized. I've heard from people in the offices, like they want to do stuff a week or two ahead of time. And so I'm sure when they're doing this championship thing, they don't know all the schedules that all these guys have as hockey dads and, hockey families.
Well, Jupiter, to be really direct with your question, I was there Saturday night. I didn't know that they had the guys there. I do the walk around lap between periods like a lot of Minnesotans, but I saw the little mini flags.
Mm-hmm.
I have no recollection of seeing a tribute video. I think I remember seeing Patel jumping up and maybe Kowalska jumping into the bench or something, but I don't remember guys walking even onto the ice. So it was not.
No, they only made it to the bench. That's all they did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know that the hockey count. They were tweeting out things that, hey, this is going to be this weekend. Saturday's game. But yeah, I didn't even know what they were going to do either, because all of a sudden, they cleared the ice, and there they are, and it's like, that's it.
11 guys out of what, 35 or something between the two teams?
Probably somewhere around there.
That's a bummer. I don't know. I don't know. That seems odd. That's kind of sad, but
because when they did the 79 team, almost all those guys showed up. They announced them one by one on the bench. They did a great job. That
they also had more time between periods.
That's true.
Now they've got it's
12 minutes,
and that's it. So they're a little limited by that. Obviously, that's why you don't see the little chippers anymore. The little chippers are out there before even the teams are out there for warm up,
which is probably a good thing.
They do. They get more ice time,
and they get to watch more of the game.
Yes, but most people don't see them anymore.
Yeah.
How often do you guys go to games live?
I was there for both games this past weekend. I try to get it to at least one game a weekend. Viggs, you're pretty close to that too. You try to get one game a weekend at least.
One game a weekend. I've got little kid practices that I have to be at, because one thing about Northeast Minneapolis, we don't have a lot of hockey coaches. So if one of us is missing, all of a sudden 2 coaches have 30 kids to figure out. And I don't know if you've been around 36, 7, 8-year-olds in a while, but it can be a little overwhelming to handle. So try not to do that too often.
Only tonight. The real treat with kids that age is when they come bombing in behind you and just give you the slew foot by accident because they slide into your leg. There was a kid named Luis tonight that just about concussed me. I was going to be in the blue tent. I mean, he came in right, just hit the back of my skate. You kind of do they got a special gift.
Your life flashes a little bit.
What? Hey, do you guys do Drew's popcorn at Mariucci?
I've done it. Caramel corn. It's great.
This popcorn, just the regular with the butter, it's better than movie theater popcorn.
Really?
Yeah. You got it, Jupiter. Next time you're there.
Because sometimes I'll go get a pretzel for $8.
I don't even think it's any funny business. Like, you don't have to tell them to butter the middle or anything. I think if you're just like, give me the regular popcorn with butter, it's like they've painted each kernel. It is so good. I think it's the best item since they got rid of Dino's Euros. Was pretty special in the far end there when it was there.
Then they have the fresh roasted nuts.
Yeah. Did you ever?
Those are the lowest. We could smell them from the press box.
Yeah, those are good.
I'm shocked how many people crush ice cream at Gopher games. The giant bowl of Kemp's, it's like 75% of the fans eat that.
When I was little, I seemed to have in my mind at Old Mariucci, you could go get ice cream there, and it was from like the U of M dairy program. And you would get ice cream at Old Mariucci. Maybe I was little back then. I'm 43 now, so I think I was probably mite age kid getting it. But I seem to remember you could go get ice cream, and as a little kid, I was like, "Yes, we're going for ice cream." My dad would be kind of worried because sometimes we get the general admission seats or whatever behind the net with the slanted roof. And we'd be like, oh, we might lose our spot. And I was like, ice cream. we get it.
You remember you'd eat dinner at Station 19, and then man, the loss of the Big Ten, going to the Big Ten, waiting in that line, getting those sandwiches with the waffle fries. I mean, that was a big blow when that place closed. Because
campus is different.
It is. I mean,
yeah.
It's all corporate now, and obviously apartments and just. I was at the Buffalo Wild Wings Friday night, the old Station 19.
How was that?
It was packed when we left.
Yeah, they do well there.
It was packed. I mean, Rob Shiola, he's one of the stats guys for the U. We went down there early because we knew there was going to be snow, and 8:00 came. We were there like just after 5, so there wasn't many people there yet. By the time we left, even with the little vaccine rules, when we were left, there was like 20 people waiting to get in. So places like that still do. It's Buffalo Wild Wings, so they're going to do well.
I'm still a stubborn herbs guy when I want a nice steady beer, craft brew.
Another sneaky one is the that restaurant's called the Beacon inside the Graduate Hotel. No, don't sleep on that chicken sandwich over there. That's worth it.
So is that where the old Applebee's was?
Correct. And it's a really cool hotel. Like when you walk in there, there's a bunch of people working on their laptops. They got like animal skin. Kind of looks like you're in like Aspen or something.
Okay.
And you go around the corner, and it's pretty foodie. Like good cocktails. A lot of parents, like Gopher parents, would go in there and eat and walk over. But that's a nice spot to start.
I haven't been over there since it was an Applebee's, and it was still the Radisson, and Mark Barr would get a room over there during the Mariucci Classic.
Yeah, check it out. It's good.
And that was, we would go over there to that room, and Barr would have, like last time we were there, the Northeastern coach was there, and he was there, and I think Gensel was there, and we would just talk BS for hours because it was the holiday classic. People were off, and like I said, it was cool. I believe the Northeastern coach, he might have just retired. I'm not sure, but anyway, it was like when I hear Gensel sit there and say, I love Bukestad, but he's still a kid. At the time when he was at the U, he was just still very much a kid, like wonder, not really young man yet. That's one thing.
Some people might say he's still kind of like a kid. I think his agent Ben Haggis is like, you need to start playing a little harder. You need to start, if you want to make it in the NHL, you got to play with a little bit more edge. You're a big guy, play like it. They had a little heart to heart this last year, 2 years ago.
And now he's injured.
It's okay. He'll be back. Still has a role to play.
Will there be a roster spot for him?
I mean, if you don't have a roster spot for Rem Pitlick, that's where this team's at right now, which is crazy. Like, I guess
I did like it that he scored the other night. I did like that.
Well, the Montreal guys were talking to LaPanta. They're like, "How do you not have a spot in your lineup for this guy? He might be the most skilled player on our team right now." And LaPanta's just like, they don't.
Montreal is a tough show right now, though.
Well, it's good for Rem.
Yeah, like you said, it's a tough show, but talk about media there.
Oh, yeah.
That is a microscope that we just can't really comprehend there in Toronto or anywhere in Canada, but especially there. If he is successful there, more power to him.
Yeah. He's a good player. I was bummed out when he got picked up. He's been fun to watch.
He's fun to listen to. Rem was always an interesting interview at Minnesota because he's very thoughtful. I think of the people that we've had in the interview room, like LaFontaine and Pitlick, were probably two of the more fun ones because you're going to get a real conversation with them about something. It may be something you don't expect. So I'll miss that.
Were you there when Johnny Pohl was a killer quote all the time? Were you? Was that too?
That's a little before me. That's when I was in college.
Yeah, that's before I was going down there as well.
God, was he great. He used to just just talk like nothing canned. It was. I mean, you realize how much of what you get is just nothing, and when you hear someone just speak, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the one frustration that I've always had with certain players, giving you the canned answers, which is probably why you like Pitlick and LaFontaine and Klus in the last recent years, because they'll give it to you straight.
Well, and they want to give it to you straight too. I think there's some people who say they want to give it to you straight or something, but they don't really want to be on record about anything like that. Those two don't mind. Like, they're smart enough to know that they're big boys and can handle it.
Yeah, generally, anyone telling you they want to give it to you straight is probably that's probably not happening. Yeah, that's too bad. I'm interested to see what happens with this team. We get to go in the desert here with these three guys going to China, and I hope that next man up. I really like your thought, Vigo, of kind of break all the pieces up and see what grows anew. I think that's a great idea. Make everybody uncomfortable and get those synapses to fire. See what happens.
Well, I just think guys like Walker and McLaughlin, they kind of thrive in chaos. Like, they're not structure players. Like, I've asked Bob about this with Sammy. He's like, well, Sammy kind of, he's an artist out there. He's kind of doing his own thing, and he's not a real system player. I was like, well, then let him do that and give him the space to do that. Don't
set him up to do it, not at center.
Yeah, just let him have the freedom to do it. And I don't know. He just seems a little resistant to it. We're not on a texting basis right now, so maybe if I had some bevies with Bob, that would open up a little bit. But I respect it. I'm just a podcaster, freelancer. Just doing what I can do.
Hey, I gave you all the credit for that to Deutsch, because I kind of found out that Walker was not on wing. Told Vigo, tweeted it Friday night. Coming out of the elevator, Deutsch is going in. How'd you know about that? Who told you about that?
We know people.
And I'm just like, I just listened to Viggs. Viggs knows. Of course, you didn't know. I just happened to see the lineup sheet, that wasn't in a different area. That's all.
It's always fun when you wander in an area of Mariucci and you see something that probably shouldn't be there. Like,
it was the lineup sheet up in the stats area. And I was just, we got there early. We set our bags. I wanted to put my bag in a more secure place than down by where we sit, Vig. So I put it up top in the stats area. It's my camera bag. I got a computer in there. I'm like, put it in there. I'm like, oh, look, there's the lineup sheet. Big, stack of sheets, lineups.
But every once in a while, I'll be around facilities and you'll see the stats that the coaches actually keep. Like, who gives up the most grade A's, who creates the most grade A's, who made mistakes that were crucial that they track, who's the fastest skater, all the stuff that they have access to, that they look at and that they get from reviewing film and the catapult, software stuff that they have. They know way more than they share. But every once in a while, you'll see stuff that they posted around the rink. Like, if you ever have a group where you get a locker room tour on a game night, look for those things, because they'll be up and around, because they want their players to know what's important to them, but they want to keep in-house. And it's cool to see. And, they'll put up stuff like, this is the power play we're going to see. This is how we want our power play to work. These are the people we want to attack. This is the game strategy. All that stuff's up on game day. So if you're ever around the rink on a game day, it's just a cool glimpse into what you think you know, and just kind of either confirms it or explains it or reveals a little bit more.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. I'll have to sneak in there.
Got to use those connections.
And it's probably a lot of stats coming from their video operations guy, isn't it, Viggs?
Yep.
Even I this was years ago, but I watched Mark Barr do that back in the day in Mankato, long before they were doing a lot of those other things. He had a laptop there with video, and he had all these key combinations. He had the software back then saying, well, this happened at that time. This was a shot from here. This was this. I can imagine how much has gone up since then. That their video guy is a critical job, and it's usually their operations guy too. But
yeah, they went with a young guy right now for their hockey ops. He's from Ohio State, and he's just clipping stuff and tagging it, like every zone entry, every zone exit, every dump in, every forecheck, every puck retrieval, and they're just tagging that stuff, and they can say, okay, Brock Faber, let's look at your 10 puck retrievals and your 10 zone exits from the weekend, and they can just break it down. It's really neat.
Viggs, I'm looking at the schedule. Have you heard anything on the final game of the season on TV? That still hasn't been determined yet.
I think it kind of depends on basketball.
Because I look at it, the 8:00 Friday night game is on ESPNU, probably Bucci coming in again. Friday night or Saturday night still hasn't been determined.
Yeah, I think Big Ten Network has got to figure that out. It was kind of cool that Bucci in town on Friday. King, you watch the game? You see Bucci commentate?
Yep. One thing that was interesting in watching that game is the guys thought that Blake McLaughlin was the best player on the ice all night long, and I like McLaughlin, but I was thinking I think it might be this 9 line. But it was interesting. Did you see that? Was he just a dominant force and I was kind of missing it Friday night? Or was it a ESPN sort of learning college hockey thing?
I have heard from people in the business that TV will often prep a storyline for a night and push it, regardless of whether or not it actually matches up what they're expecting. And I thought McLaughlin had a nice game. I thought they looked better with Walker at wing. It allowed that line to be a little more dynamic. And I thought they disappeared a little bit in the third period. But I think it's just like they were looking for that. If they were looking for the 9 line, they would have had a lot more to talk about.
The analysts loved him. I like Butchie. He's fun. He really loves college hockey, which is great.
And you hear people complain about him. Like, are you kidding me?
He's gotten a lot better.
He's gotten better. But I don't understand there's some people so hate him. Like, this guy is pushing college hockey in his position at ESPN. What, people? This is great for college hockey.
Yeah. No,
his old college hockey thing with the CAW.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Straight out of Miracle.
Otherwise, we wouldn't. It would be even more of an afterthought for somebody like an ESPN.
Yeah, when he first started, I think he wasn't great at the play-by-play, and I think maybe some of the people that roll their eyes are still remembering that because he's really gotten a lot better.
I think that's when you are in TV and there's a storyline. Even if you're a fan, if you have a storyline that you're sticking to, it's really hard to change. Mm-hmm. It's hard to admit you're wrong or like find something original and new. It's just challenging for some people. So
what was interesting is that Chris Vosters, who called the game for Big Ten the next night, he was actually there Friday night. He's like, it's very unusual for him to get to sit and enjoy and watch a game, especially between the two teams he's going to be calling. He says that helps him tremendously just to sit and watch. And it helped him prepare a lot because obviously Vosters is all over the place. Viggs, he's Big Ten.
He's doing field hockey. He's doing water polo.
And he's doing the Olympics.
Yeah, he's doing curling at the Olympics.
I mean, and he says he really enjoyed just to be able to sit there in press box and watch a game between two teams he gets the call of the next night.
And he got to talk with me for 20 minutes about Gopher hockey, so I'm sure that helped tremendously. That's probably helped.
What does this Dave Starman do when he's not doing the World Juniors? Because I love that guy. I mean, he seems like he could snap into college hockey, and he's so smart. He's one of my every year when World Juniors comes around and I hear that voice, I just know it's going to be good.
Funny you say that because we actually talked about him a little bit last week and with Chris Long, and Starman was by not last season obviously, but the season before. He was just kind of making a draw, and he was there for a game at Mariucci. He wasn't calling the game, I don't think. He was just there. And boy, what a personable guy. He was coming around to everybody, introducing himself, saying, "Hey, how you doing? What do you do here?" And my view of him even went up even more after that when you get to kind of just meet the guy real quick. I think he's a great asset for college hockey and junior hockey. I love it when he's part of a call.
Yeah, I think one of the things, he was scouting for Montreal for a little bit, so that was kind of eating up some time there. And he was going to be doing
Big Ten games too.
Yeah,
he was picking up a couple BTN games.
And his kid now, I think, is like that, between that Bantam and that like 18U age. And so I think Starman's helping with his son's hockey journey. I know journey is kind of the buzzword these days, but he's kind of, more invested in that right now and making sure his son gets that right next spot than he is worried about, I think, calling games, which, he's the dad. He gets to do that.
People are saying hockey journey, right? Tell me more about this. What does that mean?
Well, there's many journeys. There's, there's your bourbon journey you can be on, your beer journey you can be on, your podcast journey. Well, you can be on a hockey journey too. And trying to figure out, am I trying to push for the AA team? Am I trying to play up and play Bantams? Am I going to go play USPHL? Am I going to go try to make it for an AHL team? It's a journey.
Oh no. I hope that would stop me in my tracks if I heard someone say that. I don't know if you're up to date on so-and-so's hockey journey. Well, I'd be like, well, I know how the story ends.
They're left wing curious. They've been right wing their whole life. They're left wing curious. Maybe they want to play on their off wing for a little bit, see how it feels.
Man, that's something. Hockey journey.
But anyway, I like Starman. I wish, it would be nice if he was calling more Big Ten stuff. Obviously, he does a lot of NCHC stuff. Who is NCHC has their main play-by-play guy now, V's? Do you?
It's the guy from Grand Forks.
Because obviously they got rid of Ben Holden, who was doing Big Ten now and doing a lot of other stuff. But Ben Holden was their guy, along with Starman. He's getting on his Google right now. Hennessy? Heinert? That's a couple comments. I don't think it's Hennessy.
Heinert? Is that Alex Heinert?
Heinert is what Hapke says.
Tim H. Heinert. Hennessy.
Yeah, it's Heinert. Sorry. I'm highlighting the wrong ones here. I don't get CBS Sports Network, so I don't see those games. So,
yeah.
He's a mid coach. So they're just using the North Dakota guy, aren't they?
I think so. Yep.
Watching Michigan Saturday, I did have that feeling like, man, that's a tough team. That's a tough out in the tournament with that goalie. Like, that's a tough.
Here's the thing though. If you are disciplined in how you attack him, though, it's not as hard as it looks. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like he's the big giant, but there are ways to sling some rocks at him and give him problems. And Minnesota gave him an easy out on Saturday. I did not think he had many difficult saves and rebounds to make. And you're just playing into him when you're putting it up high and putting it into his chest. I think sometimes when you get tired, your puck tends to sail on you a little bit. And if you have a long shift, your puck's going to sail. So keep your shift discipline short, put pucks into his feet, and stop at the net rather than looping. There's so many loopers.
Oh, yeah. I think the same thing, Big. I'm like, stop.
And there's so many people who, when they try to screen the goalie, as the puck's coming, they move out of the way and they put their stick out to try to tip it down like they're dabbing the puck or something. I'm like, tripod, face the shooter, move just a little bit, but don't give the goalie a look at the puck. They're too good. wait until the puck's just about to hit you and then move and maybe get a stick on it. But it drives me nuts. Players today.
And it was such a contrast from, when you have a game recorded and you get to watch it in like exactly an hour. And I mean, the block shots, just that black and blue effort on Friday night and then winning it in the end. It was just, everybody bought in. It was so good. And
it was so fun to watch.
It was just so from what I know about Motzko, that is the identity he wants. And it was he had to think that was the perfect game for how he wants his guys to play.
And what was Jess Meyer saying after the game, Biggs? He needed a cigarette.
I need a cigarette after that. Well, it was just like one of those post games too, where it was just kind of everybody's like, yeah, that's what this can be like.
It was awesome.
That's what we were waiting for.
Yeah,
but we've been speculating. You talk about Michigan. And the news just came out right before we did the show that they wanted to get out of the GLI, didn't want to face Michigan Tech or Western Michigan. Obviously, we know they canceled against Western. Vigs, they've got to be in the same regional. Unless they're both a number one seed, they're gonna be in the same regional.
I said it as soon as the news came down that they weren't going to play Western. I was like, committee, put them in the first round. Just regardless, pit them together in that first round and let them duke it out. Then it'll be must-see TV.
So this Western Michigan team, everybody's 30. Is this like Lake Superior State back in the day? That's what I've been told. I haven't, of course, done my research, but is that the deal? They're just a really old kind of team, or is that not accurate?
I don't think they're 30, but they're definitely a team who's taking advantage of the extra year, and they have some talent who passed up pro contracts to come back and try to do something.
Wow.
So they are a mature team. This is, kind of like that Union team that beat Minnesota.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of like that.
Gothless Pierre. That was, God, he killed us. The one defense.
He was good. So they're big
Ryan
defensive
line.
I would say it's not settling in so well. The thing that helped is when you drink wine, it's only this much. But I think I got an ulcer, which is pretty awesome. I don't know. I never expected to not be able to drink. Like, I'm gonna have to. It's gonna get weird for a while.
It's gonna be gummy time in the White Bear area.
Yeah, I think I'll try that, or I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe like Red Man chew in my mouth all the time.
Aren't you supposed to not do tobacco too?
I am, but
that's
some
black lined.
I got to do some stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll start like doing motocross or something. I got to find another way. Start a band, or I don't know. Rob,
are you still doing advertising
stuff? Yeah, we're doing the Wilds campaign. Which is pretty fun. It's called Not Weird Wild. So if you've ever been watching on Bally,
I have seen that. Yep.
We got a really, really nice spot coming out with Kaprizov, Zuccarello, and Hartman that you'll start seeing in about a week. It just makes me laugh thinking about it. So yeah, we do my company does mostly content. Like I was able to take the kind of the side hustle of the hockey hair and make it the main course. And my business partner is Tom Garrity. He was the USHL commissioner before Billy Robb. So for several years. So we work with the Chicago Steel, the Sioux Falls Stampede, work with Hubbard in New Mexico with the Ice Wolves. So we get to make a lot of content, and we still do advertising. Probably, I don't know, 40% of what we do would still be kind of in that marketing zone. Mm-hmm. The Wild stuff has been an absolute treat to do. I don't like advertising very much. I did it for a really long time. So it either has to be really fun, really creative, or really like the people. And the Wild have been great. Billy Guerin really wants to have more fun, and they've done it. To their credit, they've really let us do some pretty weird stuff. If you've seen the spot with Carell just winking, where it's like he's just
did see that.
Bing. I mean, they're really letting their hair down, and it's been awesome.
Or like those little questionnaires and stuff they put in the elevator.
Yep.
I mean, just simple little things like that.
Yep. And that's the digital team at the Wild doing that stuff. They're changing the culture over there. And it started with Billy, but it's a great group. It's a good room.
We're starting to kind of see that kind of all over the NHL. I mean, you think of the Carolina Hurricanes Vigs.
Yep.
I mean, they did a race around the rink, two of the guys at the end of the game the other night, and they're just doing fun, different things.
Yeah, the storm surge that took the NHL by storm was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah.
You look forward to that, I think, as a fan in the building, and even watch it on TV. You're like, what are they going to come up with next?
Yeah.
Kind of a fun little deal.
And there's a campaign now, Nothing Regular, about the regular season, where they're kind of taking real-time moments from the NHL, like the Zegras goal or Kachuk between the legs or whatever. And I mean, it's a lot. Hockey's a lot of fun right now with these young kids coming up. And I do still love that Friday night game was the opposite of, skills challenge and, Michigan goals. And I still am a sucker for the playoff style cross-check man hockey. The 2-1 Nate Schmidt at the blue line. I mean, there's still something great about the pitcher's duel.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I think the Wild did themselves a huge favor by changing their locker room and allowing their young guys to be them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything you just hear from that side of town, it was uncomfortable. The veterans were, that's my spot. This is my role. Stay away. Don't grow. Grow in the dark.
Tim was saying this earlier. Help to lose 11-20.
Yeah, and did you hear the Ballard interview on Chicklets? You go back to the 02-03 teams. Sounds like it was exactly the same. Like those young defensemen came in, and it was no bullshit. It was like, we're not going to shave your eyebrows off. You might have to carry some pucks, but we need you. We need you to be good. You're a part of it. Welcome. I mean, that works.
Mm-hmm.
And the Wild are definitely doing that. We interviewed Bugstead today for the Wild podcast, and he was saying, even I asked who has the aux cord in the locker room, and he said, like everything on that Wild team, it might be Carell one day playing Russian rap, then it's the Swedes playing house, then it's Dumbo, then it's country. He's like, there's no cliques. It's like this collective. Like these guys, they all eat dinner together. So that's when you're really humming, when there's no cliques at all.
I hate to break it to you. I feel very strongly that Minnesota Gopher hockey has cliques.
Yeah, well, we've done that for years. I mean, we
heard that from Ramsey when he was on our overtime. You just got the sense that it's just not in a great place.
That's not how you win, man. I remember when you guys probably remember this, when the 02 team won, and Kowalska had in St. Paul, they were on like Care 11 or something, and they had a highlight video, and they had all the guys in the studio, and they played the highlight video, and when they cut away from playing the highlight video and they showed the 12 guys that were there, they were all like with their arms around each other watching it. And I remember thinking, well, of course they won. I mean, these guys, they're playing for each other, and I don't, that'd be interesting. I don't know what's going on in the room, but
I would be curious to know what happened for the attempted three-peat. Where did it all fall apart? because that what could have been a three-peat team, Vigs, they brought most guys back.
What happened in 2004? I don't even remember.
They lost to Duluth, I believe, in
I
believe they lost to Duluth in the regional.
Was Vanek on that team?
Vanek was there.
Okay. I think I've blocked that out.
Well, I remember I had a good, honest conversation with Don about this towards the end when we were actually friendly with each other. And he kind of said, on the teams that are successful at the end, everybody's invested in seeing out the season. Like they are not thinking about anything else. They're invested in their teammates. They're playing for the now. They're blocking shots. They don't care about getting hurt. They just want to win. The teams that don't, after every game, guys are talking to scouts. They're, talking to their agent. They're doing skill work for the future. They're not prepping for the end of their season. He's like, you can just tell that there's certain teams where everybody's getting ready to go their own way. And then the teams that win, they're all headed the same place. And they're all focused on going the same place. And I don't know how you get that other than having very strong leadership and buying the players organize.
And didn't Don have I think he used to call guys program guys, right? Where he had this, like, it was almost like he got to the point where, I got 80% program guys that are going to be all about the now and they want to be successful in college hockey, but I can sprinkle in these blue chippers that might have one leg out the door, but they're so talented it'll work out. And I think you're right. You got to be, and how great would it be? I mean, to be 2 games a week, you're riding around on little scooters to Mariucci with your winter hat like this, right? Just on the top of your head or whatever. Why wouldn't you be focused on the now?
Mm-hmm.
It might not get any better. You might get a lot more money, but you might never have more fun than playing college hockey.
Jack LaFontaine playing for the Chicago Wolves right now. I gotta wonder what's going on in his head. Because it's going to be active. He's not a goldfish. He's not just going to forget about everything that's happened. This is going to be a really challenging month for him. If he has more games like he just had, where he gives up, 6-7, Carolina is going to cut bait. That's the reality of pro hockey. And, we saw him at Ann Arbor and Yost in tears after sweeping Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. You want to be an NHL player, but you're giving up something to do that and rush to it. So
I was looking at the end of the 2004 season here real quick. They won the WCHA tournament, beat North Dakota 5-4, end up going into a regional in Grand Rapids, Michigan, beat Notre Dame 5-2. Then they lose to Duluth 3-1. To stop the triple. And yes, like I said instead, that's when Denver started their back-to-back wins.
We were so spoiled at that point.
Yeah,
and that's like you said, what went wrong there? Because early, they had beaten North Dakota. No, they had beaten Duluth 7-4 in the WCHA tournament. Then obviously beat North Dakota. I remember that 5-4 game. That was a pretty crazy game. In the WCHA Final 5. And before that, like I said, they won 4 straight over St. Cloud just, to end the season.
Wasn't there a weird goalie thing? Didn't the goalie split? God, what was the goalie on the second team? So Hauser wins this one.
Weber was.
Yeah, didn't somebody leave in the middle of the season? I remember some weird.
Was it Weber that didn't come back for the 03-04?
Yeah, there's something changed between that back-to-back and that next year. I can't remember, but yeah, it is so funny to think back when they were in they won it in St. Paul, and then they got in it again the next year. I remember just thinking, well, I'm not going to go because I mean, this is what we do.
It'll be another chance.
Yeah,
we'll get to do it again sometime.
And I mean, if they're in Boston this year, I'm jumping a plane for sure if you can get that close. It's so hard to win now, college hockey. Oh my! It doesn't matter how good you are, whether you're Michigan this year or Minnesota every year. I mean, it is the parity is unbelievable.
Justin Johnson and Briggs were the goalie in 2004.
Kellen Briggs, Justin Johnson. Yeah, I don't really remember that. It's like Vanek even for me.
I want to say that Weber left early. I don't know if he got burnt out or something, but I remember obviously Weber was the goalie who won the title in 2003, or he backstopped that. And then what is this? Something he just left or oh yeah, Tim Hapke saying Weber and Johnson. Weber left.
Yeah, he was I think he I remember it was like he was burnt out or something.
Yeah, like, I want to say you're right there.
Like a mental health thing, like way back when we weren't talking about stuff like that. I think I remember him being like, my heart's not in it or something.
Yep. And that's when we had Briggs was brought in and Johnson was already there. Because Johnson, it was, Justin Johnson, playing a little bit on that 02-03 team. But it's just, Weber ended up being the guy at the end there. That was the team. I'm like, how does this team not win? Let me see. Talixon, Vanek, Kowalska. That's before Hirsch went crazy. Ehrman, Grant Batolny, Ryan Batolny, Ballard, Geyer. Oh, I hear some drink there. I gotta go bring. What do you got there, Ace?
What was that?
You a little Stag Junior.
Nice. That looks good. Good glass too. The heavy glass. That's so important.
Weight, sign of reliability.
Heavy watch and a heavy glass. That's all a man needs.
This is I'm bad with the batch numbers, but I think it's 14 or 13. It's 65.55% alcohol, 131.1 proof, barrel proof, unfiltered.
131 proof?
Yeah.
That's stronger than Booker's. That's like
good night, ladies and gentlemen.
This might give you an ulcer.
You're gonna have bad Wi-Fi soon. I still can't believe that happened. I'm in my here's behind the scenes, right? I start realizing there's a delay, and I'm like, shit. Never had any problem with anything ever. And I go in the laundry room because that's where the router is. I'm standing in the laundry room. Starts going again. And then for your software here, the whatever the duck is here, it's got to be Firefox or Chrome, not Safari.
Oh no!
I'm trying to download. My wife comes down. She goes, "You're already done?" I go, "No." As a matter of fact, it's going horribly. I'm screwed. She's like, well, you want to use my phone? You should come upstairs. I'm like, I got to fix this. Just hold on. You're already done?
The one thing I learned years ago is that I am never on Wi-Fi when I do this. I am hard plugged in. I just because, back then too, we were also sending out audio live and stuff like that. So I was more broadcasting then. So I had to make sure I had a really good connection.
What do you mean by hard plugged in? I don't even know what that means anymore.
Ethernet.
Okay, so you have a cord.
I am plugged in.
I don't even think, do they even?
And the funny thing is, I've got a 4K 27-inch monitor where the old, Ethernet port goes right into. And then I just have one USB-C cable that goes to my computer. Everything else goes through all that.
Yeah, I don't even.
And I've got a fast connection, so.
I don't have an Ethernet cable anymore, but the laptop was way better. Once I got off the phone, I don't know what the hell was happening. It's never happened. Never. Our whole life.
Because I use my phone I use the same software when we broadcast live to do post game, when Moscow's talking. And I'm just doing that from my phone. So that's Safari on the phone.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now I use Chrome for this, but
it's a cool product, this little deal you use with how you can pull in the tweets. You got the waiting room. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Share clips if we need to.
We do clips, and like I said, I could put banners up, like that. I could even
what guests do we have coming up? Maybe we should send a alert that they should check their Wi-Fi status.
Do little scrolls like that.
Don't be like John King.
And one little feature they just added this week, it's weird. They have background music.
I think it added to it. Oh, nice.
And I can control the volume. And
I like the technical difficulties all were kind of around this bidet thing.
I know, because when you the word was
sphincter.
Hot water in your sphincter. And I'm like, I wrote that down because I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to hear about this. And then your connection got crap.
So we wound that thing up like 3 times partially. Everybody had to be like, hey, I don't know what's happened to GPL, but it seems different. And I'm sitting there like this, like by my water softener frozen. Oh shit, man. Oh well. What are you gonna do?
No, but Veeks found this software when he was on the Soda Podcast, the
Soda Pod,
yeah. And this just works way better than Zoom. And we can also we're broadcasting live on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter at the same time.
That's amazing.
And so people can watch us on Twitter and like whatever platform you're on, and then the people from Facebook or Twitter will comment, and we see those too. So it's pretty nice. And then Veeks is an admin, so he can go in and control some of this stuff too,
in case something happens to Jupe if he gets hit by a meteor in South Dakota.
So are you building a hockey dynasty in Northeast Minneapolis? What do we got to look for?
There we go, Veeks.
We are trying to build hockey fans for life, and if a couple of them go on to play for Joe Dziek at Minneapolis, that's great. If they go on to play for some private school, that's great. I just want kids to love hockey. We do not have enough players to build something like a dynasty, but we have enough players that come through that are loving the game, and a couple of them are getting really good. So it's really fun. We're going to be playing in a jamboree in Bloomington, and I really hope we get to play this Eden Prairie team. Their head coach, I don't think he knows how to score. His name's Mikko Koivu. And so I'm hoping to run into that squad. It'd be kind of fun.
Are you going back to my old haunts at the Bloomington Ice Garden?
Yeah, at the big. I mean, it's great. I mean, they got the 3 rinks there. The kids get a couple games, so it's pretty fun. I'm glad I didn't go there a couple years ago with my Mite team because there was a Suter team and a Parisi team. I didn't want to expose my kids to that kind of stuff.
So are you the Storm then? Is that what's?
No, we are the Minneapolis Titans. So we are North Minneapolis and Northeast Minneapolis.
Okay.
So if you live in Minneapolis and you live above 94, you should be playing for the Titans, not the Storm.
Okay. What's your logo look like? Is it cool?
It's cool. It's like a Titan with a helmet and some thunderbolts and things. We're black and yellow.
Does that include like Edison?
Yeah, so it's like Edison.
Okay.
It's Joe Dziek's neighborhood. My current home is 2 blocks away from where Joe grew up.
God, Joe, man, he's like he was like Great Gatsby around town. He was always like, you'd be at like a concert in the best seats you've ever had in your life, and then there'd be like a golden circle, and Joe Dziek would walk in there with some gal back in the day. I'm sure he's married with kids now, but he was that's really cool that he took that job. How long has he been there now?
He's been there probably 9 years. I actually coached with him at St. Paul Academy for a little bit.
Yeah.
There was a coach that got fired mid-season, Craig Norwich, All-American Badger defenseman, who was, I think, the last defenseman to lead college hockey in scoring.
Okay.
Interesting guy. He kind of started Shattuck St. Mary's as a hockey factory.
Okay.
And moved on, or they moved on from him. He's an eccentric guy, but he left mid-year, and Joe took over, so that's how I got to like get acquainted with him on a different level. And I coached with him for a little bit, and then he kind of ran into a thing with the parents at St. Paul Academy and said, you know what? I'm going back to my roots. I want to be a coach in high school hockey. Minneapolis wants me. I'm going to take it and make it. And so he's kind of run with that now for maybe 10 years. I'm getting old.
Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Give him back. Down that
they've got a good team this year, by the way, too. Like,
yeah.
They have a chance to go to the tourney.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I hope the tourney is normal and filled to the gills. And I got a couple tricks up my sleeve. I want to have a return to joy for the tournament. Last year was so weird. It was late. Yeah. It was empty. People had kind of moved on. We need it. It's a rite of passage.
I think we're headed that way. Everybody's. I just listened to the New York Times, the Daily podcast about the pandemic, and they're just like, we're at the point now where if you're not vaccinated and boosted, you know what risk you're taking on. So you shouldn't feel guilty if you're going out doing stuff.
Yeah, herd immunity will be there. That'll be good. Be good to be back. I think we took for granted how great that thing was when they kind of took it away from us last year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the tourney was like kind of one of the first things. Like I went to go for hockey and stuff with my dad and I. We used to go wait in line for rush tickets. We'd always end up like in the school's seating area by the bands.
Perfect.
And just like I remember going to the old Civic Center. And then when I was in high school, if you're on a bad high school team, you get tourney tickets for your team and you go hang out with your buddies for 3 days and go to the tournament. Don't go to school and
can't you
have
just
a lot of fun.
Can't you just picture those tickets, what they look like? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, you get the strip. Yeah. You go down. We'd go see our equipment room guy.
Yep.
And he got all the tickets. He'd like, Eric, Biggs, be good.
I always went.
Don't get in trouble this weekend.
I was always in the band, Biggs. So I was always playing the drums down close to the ice. So I had
That's great.
I don't think Jefferson was in the tournament when I was going as a high schooler.
No.
The late 90s.
But I was there. In fact, the last state tournament game I was physically at was the 1989 state championship between Jefferson and John Marshall overtime. It was a good game to be at.
Yeah, it's the best. Even some of those early round games are just the best. I remember Greenway played Eden Prairie, and Gino Geyer and Surdich and those guys were on Greenway, and it was like seemed like they had 11 players, with mustaches, and Eden Prairie had like 45 that looked like a football team on skates, and they beat them, and it was just, I love that stuff. Even with 2 tiers, you still get some pretty cool matchups.
That Thursday night at the tournament, though, is just something else.
Yeah.
Like it's a day of hope for everybody, and there's some bad matchups here now that they seed everything, but it's still a great day.
I kind of miss how they kept, the brackets nighttime and daytime. I mean, with the single tournament, like if you won, Friday, Thursday afternoon, you're playing Friday afternoon.
Oh, because you're saying, did they used to have
Well, they used to televise everything too. Like, so you think of the single tournament, it was 4 games Friday, 4 games Thursday, or 4 games Thursday, 4 games Friday, 3 games Saturday. And then you kind of stayed in your bracket. So like I remember being at, I want to say a couple of years, like 86 or something, or 87, Jefferson was there, and you went in the afternoon, whether if it was the noon game or the 3 game, you played the 3 game the next night. And then if you got to the championship, then you're playing the night game. I'm just more old school, single tournament, crusty old guy, I guess. Ooh, we got a John Marshall guy. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that overtime victory. Chris Tucker. Good team. Yeah, but that's the last actual game I have been at for state tournament.
Oh man, you got to go.
A lot of times now that Saturday night, I'm at Mariucci.
You got to go on Thursday then. You got to do it.
I've heard the section finals are great to go to too. I haven't done that, but I've heard that's just amazing.
Well, legendary.
We were talking about this with Chris Long. Like, if you had someone where you wanted to show them like what Minnesota high school hockey was, you would take them to section final nights around the area, because going to state for a high school hockey player in Minnesota is probably the dream for most kids. You'd love to win it, but I think just going to state for hockey means more than any other sport. Like, you never hear football players saying like, "Oh yeah, we went to state, we won our section." It's like in football, it's like, "Did you go to the prep bowl?" Yeah. But hockey, it's like just getting to state is like that landmark achievement that people are putting on their pedestal. In those section games where kids from the schools can get tickets, and as we know from Gopher Hockey, students make atmosphere. So when you fill a building with 2,000-3,000 students and kids are playing for that, it's awesome. Like going to Aldrich and seeing like White Bear Hill Murray. How great is that for a night?
It's amazing. Yeah, and it's just so packed.
It's so packed. It's like Aldrich is to the gills. People hanging on the, the sheets over there, getting their Russian tea. It's the best.
Yeah, and you saw it when like Stillwater won on the Spinorama, and the guys are crawling over the glass. White Bear had one against Hill recently where they're all crawling into the student section over the glass. It's just so awesome.
Yeah. I mean, and then you've got the games at like Big and Braemar and Mariucci. I mean, those are awesome games to be at.
Are they playing at Mariucci's often now, though?
I think they're not this year.
I don't think they're this year, but they've been kind of cutting back from Mariucci kind of all around.
A little bit. I think high school coaches don't like the leap to the Olympic ice for those games.
It's a lake.
Because it's different.
Yes.
And do you want your most important game of the year on something different?
No.
Not if you have control over it.
But then you think about
that's gonna go away in 2 years, by the way.
You think that'll actually happen eventually?
I've got good information that it's gonna happen in 2 years.
And it's gonna be a hybrid half?
Yep. So like
summer of 23 then, right, Viggs?
Yep. Summer 23. And they're just going to do Mariucci. They're not going to do Ritter at the same time, but they're going to prep everything for when they eventually do Ritter. Because they're going to keep Ritter open so that they have a place to skate on campus during construction. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what's the benefit? Like, is it for a kid that wants to play in the NHL, it's better to not be playing on an Olympic sheet in college?
Yep. And it's easier for the team not to have to switch back and forth as much. And the corners are a big part of it, because the corners right now at Mariucci are huge. Like, you can disappear in there for anything, and you're so far away from the net. NHL corners, the radius is tighter, so everything funnels to the net faster. And then they have to do it because of the refrigerant issue. Like, if they had a leak right now in their refrigerant system, it would cost like $500,000 to fix.
Really?
Yeah. So don't want to do that.
And the radius on the international ice is 20 feet. So it's sharp in the corner, whereas, like this, whereas the NHL is more like this and in 28 feet.
So who has a hybrid rink now? Like what rink?
Wisconsin.
Notre Dame, Wisconsin.
Okay. So we'll be the same size sheet as them.
I think it would be almost exactly like Notre Dame.
And Ingolstadt is NHL?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't they just go NHL?
It's too complicated, I guess, with the layout and the seating and the structure of the building.
And digging down even further.
They would have to dig down, and it wouldn't work.
Because they're just going to add a handful of rows?
One row.
Really?
One row. I'm trying to talk them into doing what I heard was a possibility in taking the 10,000 seats and restructuring it to like 9,000 and building like some little like lodge seating areas around the building.
Oh, like
so it'd be
like a real high end, like you can sit with 6 people and have your bucket of beers, and that'd be great.
Yeah. Like I always envision it as like a modern Coliseum. You remember the fairgrounds? They had like those little boxes around.
Yeah.
It's like just have a couple of those, like 8 of them around the rink, where people have like a private seating area where it used to be like 20 seats and now it's like 8. I think that would be a cool little feature. Because I think sometimes when you have people in the suites, they're disengaged from the game.
They're so far away too.
Yeah, but like in the NFL now, the big thing right now is to have like seats on the field where you can't see anything of the game, but you can see what's happening on the sideline and stuff.
Yeah.
And watch it on TV. You know, find ways to keep those people in those seats a little more engaged. But I don't think
put them right on the glass down in section, 24, 1 and 2. Clean that whole area out.
Yep. It'd be
Which
cool.
are now the cheap seats, but make it like a club section, or like you said, Biggs, something different.
Yeah. Little penalty boxes around the rink.
I love it. Like the Armory has a bunch of seating like that. If you've been to a concert there,
or a boxing match.
Yeah. That was something, man. Have you been to a boxing match?
Yeah. It's a different crowd, man.
It is wild. I mean,
one summer I checked IDs at a bar called the Irish Embassy. It was in St. Paul. And it was a weird bar. And they had a boxer who would come in there and he would drink water and eat salad, like iceberg lettuce, to cut weight. And one night I was working, someone was giving like the staff a really hard time. And the boxer was just like, hey, if you got a problem, we'll settle outside. Except he said it in a very strong Irish accent. And he dropped him with one punch. And he's like, he was like a little dude. He was like 5'7", like probably 150 pounds. And this guy just picked the wrong guy to fight. It was just like, oh my God. Okay, anything you need, I will help you.
Uh-oh. Steve doesn't like it that, we're taking out his seats because he sits down there in section 2, like section 1.
We wouldn't take all those seats out if we were in charge, but
I would love to see the students on the glass, Vigs.
Yeah, I
They're
think that would be good.
Away.
Yeah,
and they
had a chance to redo
they
it.
might
They should
pound
redo
on
it
the
that
glass. Get off. Have you been to every other arena in college hockey?
Mariucci was just built at a weird time. Like I don't think JLG was as into rink building as they are now, and I think it would be different if they were in charge this time around.
Nobody ever talks about that either, man. That 94, there wasn't even an NHL team, right? I mean, it was like when Crowley and Kraft rolled into town and they had that new building, it was the ticket. I mean, it was in the Metro. That was as good as it got for hockey.
And Kinger, I still argue that the sight lines at Mariucci are not paralleled anywhere else.
They're fantastic.
When you're sitting, it's steep enough. You're above the glass so quickly. Every seat is a really good seat. I mean, because I think about it, the last time I was at the X for a game, I was in row 18 in the lower level, and I was still looking through a ton of glass at the game. Not at Mariucci. You're up quickly above the glass. The sight lines are amazing there. They just are. I just wish, it was just a little more intimate, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels intimate when it's full. It feels intimate when it's full.
Yes.
It's a wonderful building, but nowadays, man, you would never build a 10,000 seat college hockey.
No. I got threatened to be kicked out for tapping on the glass in Mariucci.
Wow.
I don't know why they worry about that. Maybe it's just the security people.
It's not built to handle pressure from the stands. It's only meant to handle
that
pressure
is true.
From
they are spring loaded.
They're spring loaded.
They're spring loaded inward. Because when I'm on the glass there, I feel it come right at me. If you're on the glass, you're shooting. You better back up because
it only goes one way.
That is true. But they can't handle hockey pucks hitting them. People just going like this are not going to break it.
It shouldn't, but it's a long delay to change glass there too.
They get it out in 6-7 minutes. They're like
because they're professionals. They know what they're doing, but it still takes a long time. Like the newer rinks, they can change the glass much, much faster. Like Excel, they can change it like a minute. So I get it. I hang out with my rink people at Mariucci. I get their
well, for one thing, if they redo the rink, they'll have new glass, they'll have new boards. Plan for it. Plan for a student section to be on the glass.
They'll have options. They'll have options to do it. And JLG knows what they're doing now. Like they'll give them a good plan. So
good.
I hope so.
I have faith
because the students have been there this year, Viggs.
The students have been great at the U.
Like, oversold it. They got to teach them some cheers, maybe a little bit.
They'll figure it out. But like the pandemic has made the student section at the U crazy. Like for football games this fall, they were awesome for every single game. Even the Bowling Green game, the students were awesome. Like they were into it. They wanted to be part of the win. Like they wanted to change the momentum of the game. I think the students at hockey feel the same way. Like they want to be part of that. There's just like a desire to be in person for sports.
It took 30 minutes to change the pane of glass. That I heard.
I believe that. Yeah. Remember that change at New Orleans Arena in Vegas at the North Dakota Gopher game? It took almost 30 minutes. Remember they played that one-off game?
Yeah. I just don't remember the glass thing.
Oh, it's awful.
I went to that game. Man, did they travel North Dakota?
Well, they also didn't give. I mean,
but the North Dakota fans bought all the tickets right away. There was no chance.
Well, they had the first opportunity to buy the tickets too.
Of course, as they should. So, you plan a game like that, you should get to have that control.
They travel.
No more Bud Light in the area after that crowd.
It's phenomenal. I mean, if I was a Sioux fan or whatever they are, a Hawk fan, it is very impressive.
We call it Who on this show.
The Who.
The Who.
Hey, what do you think? So, can we call Nyes Minnesota Nyes? Does that not quite work?
I think it doesn't work because he's from Arizona.
I know he is, but he's a Gopher. So Minnesota Nyes. Kind of sounds like Minnesota Nice. I don't know. I want him to. He should be getting more attention, maybe after the Olympics.
I just worry about him sticking around.
Well, he reminds me a little bit of when Vanek emerged on the scene, where it's like, holy, it's like when they found Superman out in the farmhouse.
He stayed 2 years.
Vanek did apparently.
You know what? And he
that tonight.
There was actually a decent chance he could have stayed for a third year because his third year was a lockout year, and he played the entire year in the AHL.
Mm-hmm.
They could have, like I said, obviously he wanted to get moving on, but it was a goofy time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Toronto sure could use an entry-level contract on that roster. He'll get some pressure to sign. It's so hard to know. Like, we asked him a little bit about the atmosphere for that game against Michigan on Friday, and he's kind of like, this is why you come here for that. You just kind of wish there were 10,000 fans there instead of 6,000 or whatever for them to see what it could be like. This
is where a place like Duluth and St. Cloud are not having as many of those issues look very attractive to players these days.
It's fun to stick around at a full building where you're the show in town, right?
Yeah, I mean it's like junior hockey. I mean, if you're the show in town, it's got to be great. But but
even even you go back to the 2000s, the Wild were here. The Wild were new. The Wild were in the
but they weren't the show. They were a plucky team of expansion players. I wonder how Sioux Falls is going to do when the college team takes root, because Sioux Falls does pretty well, right?
Oh yeah, big numbers. They'll do 7,000 a night. The Stampede, but Augustana built such a small rink, so I mean it'll be pretty. They won't be.
What's St. Thomas going to build?
I heard they're going by the Ford plant or something. I don't know.
What are you thinking? At least 5,000 Viggs, or would they go smaller?
If I were them, I'd go smaller.
Like Ritter size, 3,800?
Yep.
It'll be electric.
Yeah. Don't go too big. Can never go wrong with a building that size.
Yeah, it's the electric factory. You just get a nice small building with tons of energy.
How are the no-show numbers looking this year, Veeks? Have you heard?
I haven't asked yet. I would imagine they're the same. They're just selling less tickets. They're probably selling 8,000 and 6,000 are showing up, or they're selling 7,000 and 5,000 are showing up. That's kind of where they're at right now. It's
because your numbers showed what the most recent ones was about 2,500 to 3,000 average no-shows.
Yeah, you get anywhere between 60% for a bad team or 80% for a good team redemption rates. So if the team's doing really well, 80% of the people show up.
8,200 sold for Friday, but there was no 8,200 in there.
Yeah, I'd bet 6,000 showed up for that. But
I mean,
I'll get numbers at the end of the year.
But just think about that. That's thousands of people not using their tickets, and everyone used to say, "Oh, it's the Corpies. It's the Corpies."
It's parents with kids who have a game that night and they can't move the tickets.
Wild game,
Hockey Day Minnesota
Saturday, but wild game on the road Friday. But yeah,
and then you got the playoffs coming up now too, which is they've sent out invites to the season ticket holders to get a package for like $70 for the entire tournament per ticket. Not bad if you ask me.
Seems reasonable. I don't think price is the issue. I don't know. Maybe I'm too naive in my viewpoint. I don't think a price of $30 for a Big Ten hockey game is that much. That's not a deal breaker for me. People can cherry pick the seats between the blue lines for Michigan, UMD, North Dakota for $80, but really in reality, there's probably only 100 of those tickets for sale. The majority of the tickets for sale are in the corners.
Yeah, and for that, it is set by the conference when it comes to tournament time. But Viggs, when you say $30 per ticket, that's what it was back when they were winning titles.
Yep.
Late 90s, early 2000s, it was $30 a ticket, and every ticket was that cost.
Yeah.
Whether you're on the end, the corner, or right on the glass, they were all $30 a piece.
Yeah. So it's a tough.
I mean, people talk about no one's showing up. You've said it. Price is not the problem. It's people not using those tickets or not having a way to get rid of those tickets. Or maybe the team's not good enough to people want the tickets. I can't give my tickets away. You hear it all the time I saw it last week. It took a while for free tickets to Michigan to disappear on GPL.
Yep.
Free tickets.
King, you going to another game this year after your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I picked the wrong night, but I wasn't in town Friday night. I bought fourth row just to because I sat down low for the national team game, and it's kind of like, wow, they're so big and so fast because I'm used to sitting up high. But I will say the sight lines it's almost better to sit near the top. It's so great. Because when you're in the fourth row, to your point, Jupiter, that's one of the only, you're almost above the glass at Mariucci in row 7
or 8. Yeah, it's somewhere in that, but it's still better than most arenas.
Right when we sat down, Brzezinski scored the goal, and they pointed at us and went right up to the glass. We're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And they were dominating. They were out shooting them. And then Brisson did his best Ovechkin impression. And before you knew it, it was like, bing, bing. Okay, I guess now we're
now we're chasing. The first 15 minutes were really good, I thought.
Great.
I thought they were really good the first 15 minutes.
And that's what I literally tweeted that. They're playing great, but they're not scoring. Michigan's going to come back. And Michigan, they were under 20 shots for the game. It was about roughly 40 to 20 the game, but they capitalized and Minnesota couldn't.
Who is our goalie going to be? Is it Close?
It will be. It won't be Boynton, do you think?
I don't think it'll be Boynton. I think Bartskevich gets a game.
So. And you think he could end up being the goalie?
Yep.
I don't think he gets a game until Michigan State, though.
We'll see how it goes. If Closer has another game where he sees 15 shots and lets in 4 goals, Bob's going to try something else. He only played Jack all the time because Jack exudes confidence. Closer's a different kind of cat. Like, he's a battler, but he's a scrappy battler. You know, he played great on Friday because he was so aggressive. On Saturday, he couldn't really be aggressive because the team in front of him wasn't playing very structured. So he was scrambling, and he's 5'9", 5'8". You know, he's not a big goalie. Different.
Let King use your press pass for a game. It doesn't work that way, folks.
That count is awesome. I love how you.
Well, the funny thing is, you know, we've been around there for so long, because we really don't even need a press pass a lot of times. You could, I mean, has your name been on the list there, Viggs, to sign in recently?
No, they all blame Deutsch, and I go, yeah, Deutsch is not figuring it out, so it's okay.
So and they know us, and they just say, "Oh, just write your name down." That's what we just do.
Do you watch way up top in the press box?
Yeah,
I do. Friday night, I did. I was visiting our buds, the former Rubes, and they were in like section 7, row 14, which are actually really good seats. And I was there for a second period. But, you know, if I'm shooting, I'm along the glass. A lot of times we're the bottom of section 15 and 16, kind of the corner where you see the TV camera guy in the corner there. I'll be there. You can't miss my white hair. I shoot there, so I'm right there. Otherwise, I'm up in the press box. And it is a pretty good place to watch a game. You're a little far, but you're also overhanging, so it's a great view.
I did one game up there. It was fun. I was in the press box when they beat Maine in the first national championship in Excel, and I've never heard a crowd like that. I thought the roof was going to pop off. It was a long time coming.
Yeah. The X is pretty far away, though. You are really high up at the X.
Oh yeah, and the press box especially.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not terrible. I found a great spot as a photographer, especially in the old Final Five. I would be on the same TV stand as the reverse television guy was. So there'd only be one camera there, a couple photographer areas, and then you've got like a handicap spot, but it's like a riser. You're just above everyone else in the stands. You're above the glass. So it's a really good place to shoot from. And even if people jump up and cheer, I could still be sitting and I'm still above them.
That's perfect.
It's a good, and if you're just sitting there kind of relaxing, it's a good place to watch a game too. I mean, obviously that's why the reverse camera guy is there, and where you're behind the benches. I guess you're on that side of the ice where you're behind the benches. So I enjoyed that part, and I believe the ESPN guys do too, is because the last couple Frozen Fours have been here. They've built their announcing area at that level. The announcers are not up in the press box. They're down just on, at the top of section of the lower bowl, because they want to be closer, because the X is way the hell up there.
It'd be so great if Vigo just crawled in the bed.
The bed is new though, isn't it, Vigo?
Like the 6th hour of overtime, and he's
just laying in bed with my drink.
He's going from his
holding
stomach,
it up on the chest,
from his back to his stomach.
We just got a new bed. We went to the room and board outlet when we finally found something we liked.
Right.
And, hey, just do what we do.
Just living your life. Are those your doctorates on the wall there on the left, or what?
Yeah, a couple degrees.
If Joe Diezik signed those for you. You're allowed.
I don't have anything cool like that at all.
The children are our future.
Mm-hmm. My kids are in first and third grade, so I still got time before I get their diplomas up on the wall.
You're making me feel so old, Deegs. You just turned 43. I turned 50 this year, and I'm an empty nester.
So, Kinger, I have one idea. If your ulcer doesn't get better, this is what I do when I'm taking a night off. You get my Pellegrino.
Yeah.
Pour that.
Wait, show it again here, Riggs. There we go.
Oh, no.
Pellegrino.
And you put lemons in there?
No. You gotta have these around, right?
What is it? Yeah,
aromatic bitters.
Bitters.
Got them upstairs.
Yeah. So you just pour that in your sparkling water. It's kind of like you're having a little cocktail.
Yeah.
But you're not having a lot of alcohol, just a little.
Is there alcohol in bitters?
There is, but not very much because you're just putting in drops. Some people like a lot of bitters.
I like it. Hey, what the hell? I mean, I hope it doesn't come to that.
I hope it isn't a long-term thing for you, but
I look like a basic scene of Sam's.
Yeah, put the lotion in the basket.
Put the lotion in the basket.
Let's see what we got here. See, I got a little Waylon Jennings.
Oh.
Got you might be familiar with.
Yeah, we saw that one last year.
And then the other one, I think this is Silence of the Lambs. Smart ass. Look at this is nice. I bought that at the
Minnesota.
That's corn art from the state fair, which is pretty good. And then you got this one. And then this one's kind of the hard one to get, actually. Remember this one, the old Civic Center?
Oh, yeah, that's
clear boards.
It's got one of my Jefferson kids in there somewhere.
For sure it does. So yeah, Silence.
I've got a Fogarty up here too.
Yeah, I was actually Silence of the Lambs when I was in the laundry room trying to fix the Wi-Fi. That was a low point.
So that's not a bad jersey actually. Is it built pretty well?
The neck's weird, right? Like it dips low. So like I don't know what I'm supposed to wear under that. Like I get nothing
real quick. So
better than a deep V. You don't want a deep V there, right?
Well, I don't know what I almost have to wear a deep V underneath it. I don't love the mock turtleneck look where it's like I'm playing in the World Juniors for
Maybe it's got to be a little tighter.
Got a neck guard. So is that the same thing? That's your vintage Minnesota hockey one?
It's more the vintage kind, yes.
I'm pretty pleased with this for the price. I thought it was great. This is still at the Gopher
shop. Yeah. Do you get a commission on that? Is this an influencer opportunity for you, or
no, man? No.
Hey, we were shocked that they even had those because for most of the season there were no jerseys for sale.
Pandemic,
Anywhere.
Shipping challenges. They were probably sitting in the ocean on a container ship.
But yet North Dakota Vigs, remember they had that special jersey? They had them and were selling them that day when they announced the jersey.
I bet those don't come from China. I bet they make those in North Dakota.
Well, last year's the Yellow Breezers and I guess we're having our 100th season for about 5 years in a row here. But
let's do it.
What's so strange is that wasn't the 100th anniversary was like last week.
Well, maybe they did it the year leading up to it, and now since the pandemic, they just kept it going for another year.
I don't know because it was weird that it was the actual 100th anniversary. Wasn't Deutsche tweeting that out in the Gopher account last week, Biggs? I remember seeing that.
I think the issue is because back then they needed outdoor ice, so they didn't actually start playing until January of 1922, but it was the 1921-22 or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back when people were real men and they played outdoors.
But this is still the 21-22 season. Why was 20-21 this season?
Well, for the big, honestly, for like 100th, it's basically like you celebrate it the year leading up, the actual year, and then the year after. I mean, that's pretty common for like these huge things. And I think that with COVID, they were just like, really? Our 100th season's an empty building? Like, screw that. Let's just keep it in the ice. We still got the jerseys. No one will know. How late are we staying up, guys? It's like 12:07. Are you guys
I thought we were calling it pretty shortly. That's why I was switching to the water. I need to hydrate for my.
Will you go lay in bed? I just want to just for the one person.
I'm hoping for my 50th birthday in November, I'll be gone, and I'm hoping to do it, the podcast from a beach.
Nice. When did your hair go white? Like just the distinguished, handsome white?
15 years ago.
It's been okay. Let's just say
a while, right?
Well, I went very early for my 30th birthday. A guy got me just for men as a joke. 30th.
But if you can get the white hair like that, not the dirty gray, that is like.
Oh yeah, it's good. I like it.
That looks like a guy with a fat wallet to me.
I wish. That's
easy living when you get the white hair like that.
I wish. No, it's been gray a pretty long time. That's how people recognize me. They just see this big white thing coming at them.
It's not gray though. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah, it's pretty white.
It looks good, man. My dad has the same. He's got the bright white. I'm hoping that's what I get eventually, but I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, but you think as people stay up, we still have 21 people watching live.
They're all good people. I want you.
They are good people.
But I am going to change things up. I am not going to post the podcast now. I'm going to bed because I end up being up for another half hour, 45 minutes. I'm like, you know what? People can wait till the morning.
This stream is, if you want the real deal.
This stream is still available. People can go back and watch it. It's still out there, so people can even see overtime. So until I, usually swap it out, but.
Yeah, if the Gophers sweep, I'll do part of the podcast overtime in bed next time, King. How about that? If they sweep, I'll do part of the podcast.
Oh boy, too many people heard that now.
I think it's funnier when like the one person, the 1 out of 21 that left their screen for a minute, and then they come back and you're asleep. You're just laying there, and I'm talking to Jupiter. Like what the.
He's in the background, just on the bed.
It was 260 proof or whatever. Well, this was good. I'm so sorry about the Wi-Fi, man. Just an idiot. But I guess it's kind of who I really am, to be honest. I should have been 10 minutes late and then had Wi-Fi problems. That's more true.
Like I said, I love being live.
It was live.
I love that. It's just. I love those little things. Like we had my smoke detector go off during a podcast. It was in the show, and we got people watching live and sending questions and things like that. I love that aspect of it. Always have since we started going live.
But Lauren Michaels said of SNL, he goes, "We don't go on at 11:30 because we're ready. We go on because it's 11:30."
I once heard it's better to be present than on time.
I hear it.
Everyone's like, we want more overtime. I'm like, gosh,
we're givers. We're givers.
We're not going to we're not going to start earlier.
I can't. I got to do bedtime. I got to read.
You got
to read Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I've got to read Little Blue Truck. I've got to read
Good Night Moon. That was a good one.
Good Night Hockey. I read Good Night Hockey now.
Z is for Zamboni. That's one.
Yep. That's one. I've got that one. I've got 4 is for Bobby Orr.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a lot of hockey books.
Ooh.
I've got the. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about Hockey Day, White Bear. I'm not like a legit volunteer that's having meetings every week, like God bless those people, but I was sending I chipped in a couple things yesterday. It's a tough act to follow. I think Mankato did an awesome job, and they got the snow, and I love that Cambria just posted up with that VIP in one end where it's like the Ryder Cup tent. That was super smart. So I think they kind of want White Bear to rinse and repeat a little bit. Like we kind of figured out how this should work and do something similar. But we got to see Hill Murray White Bear. That'll be pretty special.
Yeah.
And I guess we'll have to figure out the college thing because unlike Mankato, it's not a football field where they're playing. It's going to be different. They'll probably have to try something creative with the college side of it.
Well, the thing is, they've never really concentrated on the college thing. I mean, quite a few times Minnesota was involved. I know I've been in St. Cloud for Minnesota St. Cloud. It's been at Mariucci. Obviously, the Wild are always at the X.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened this year that it worked out for a college team because it was right there.
Are there who are the big White Bear Lake players on college teams right now? Do you know?
Well, you're going to have Leighton Road as a stud up at, he'll be up in Bemidji.
Gallatin.
Gallatin is
UMD.
Gallatin's on Duluth. Who else recently have we had? A lot of those guys. Yeah, Gallatin's Duluth. Road is in Bemidji. Those would be
It'd be kind of fun to see a Bemidji Duluth game there. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I don't know what it's interesting. It's at Polar Lakes Park, so it's kind of. Do you know where that is? Kind of by the highway.
Yeah.
It's a really big area. Sorry, COVID. But the obviously we have kind of a charming downtown in White Bear Lake, so I'm kind of hoping they almost like do some sort of shuttle system where like if you were to come down and do the White Bear Hockey Day, you can watch hockey and then you could just jump on some sort of shuttle and go to the new Bigwood Brewery that they're going to open up, or you can go into downtown and hit a couple of the dive bars and shop or whatever. I kind of want them to connect our town with the event. I hope they do that because I think there'll be enough people there. It was not like you're going to be taking people away from the primary venue, but it'd be like if you had 50th in France or you've got Excelsior downtown. I think it would be a shame to just send them up into this baseball facility by the highway. I think I'd like them to see our community more.
But I think I think you skip the college thought even completely and just highlight, White Bear, Hill Murray, at your 5:00 game or whatever it is.
It's got to be an alumni game.
Yep, there'll be a White Bear alumni game against Hill Murray, I'm sure, the night before. It seems like a no-brainer. A lot of good players in that.
It should be a celebrity game too.
Yeah, we'll have you'll get Bonin playing for White Bear, even though all of his kids are at Hill Murray. He's going to be conflicted.
That is going to be weird.
But he knows what his heart looks like inside.
Will White Bear ever win a state tournament game?
Sure. Gotta believe, baby. They got a good group coming up. There's a really good youth coach named Jeff Anderson. He's doing Bantams, and they lost that superstar kid, Conrad something or other. He went out to Maine to like the Shattuck of Rhode Island or something. I don't know where he went, but they have a good group coming up. I don't think they'll be all the way back for Hockey Day. They'll be kind of on their way back, but it should be pretty competitive. And whenever Hill and White Bear play, you kind of throw everything out the window anyway. It's always a good game.
It'll be fun.
It'll
definitely be fun. I'd like to see one in Bloomington. I'd like to see Jefferson involved in some kind of Hockey Day.
Well, no. You know what we have to have. How in the hell has there not been an Edina Hockey Day?
Because really both places don't have a good spot to do it.
But it's such an important city in the world of hockey.
I know.
And just they would do it over the top. It needs to happen. Even though they're the villain or the heel, you still got to do it.
By far, the most read article I did for The Athletic was the one I did on Edina. It was by far the most read.
Yeah, it's a lightning rod, and I just don't know why. That's absolutely crazy that they wouldn't get in the mix.
But they've played in some. I mean, their girls played this year.
They're usually playing a part somehow.
But yeah, so they've played a part. They've had some games. My Jefferson teams, never. None of the girls, boys, never any participation.
They're coming back a little bit.
I mean, but they've had, you've had your Baudettes, you've had, a lot of
St. Paul Johnson
schools, a lot of historical schools. Not in my school.
St. Paul Johnson had one at the airfield in St. Paul.
Minneapolis had it.
Yeah, Minneapolis had it. Parade. That was cool. My kids got to skate outdoors for that one. That was fun.
The funny thing is, you could probably pull it off at Bloomington Stadium. It's that one side of the stands is rather large. It's not a lot different than what Blakesley was. It's a large stands along the whole side of that stadium there in Bloomington.
Well, if you go the same way, Edina's high school football stadium could surely take a rink, like if that's where they wanted to do it.
By the community center there?
Yeah.
That's at do they still play at the old high school? Edina football?
They play, I think, at the community center. That's where I played. It's right off the highway, right off 100, right?
That's the old Edina East High School.
Is it? I was on the west. West is best, east is least.
Well, I'm just saying it was the original Edina High School that became East.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
When they built the other one. Whereas, you've got in Bloomington, you've got one football stadium, which is at the old Bloomington High School, which became Lincoln High School, which then went away. So they still use the Edinas, Jeffersons. They're using their original football areas because it's, Bloomington Stadium is not small. It's pretty large, at least on one side. So I think it could work there. But like you said, you could work at Edina it might be tough to get people in there.
Shuttle. Be like a golf tournament. Shuttle people in.
Yeah,
we're great for the Ryder Cup.
There's not even an exit ramp there, is there?
Well, if you have buses bringing people in, it's not that hard.
But like you're saying, it's it is a no-brainer. Why haven't they done?
There's probably some kind of resentment.
Exactly. That's why everyone would hate it. It would probably get the best ratings of all time because everybody would just be pissed. They'd all hate watch it.
It's such a polarizing.
You went to Edina, right?
Yeah. Not a hockey player, though.
When did you graduate?
92.
92. Okay. So that was actually the rough years for Edina.
Well, I got to see Tom Nevers. He was something else. He was 90, but we had a few. We had I don't know if you remember Jeff Sorum, Scott Sanderson. They were my year. Wasley and Zwackman, couple Gophers. Also my year.
Wasn't Zwackman in the movie?
No, Wasley was.
Wasley, that's what.
Wasley was Youngblood as a
Youngblood, yes.
Yeah, how cool is that? I mean, that's if you're on a dating website for the rest of your life, that's all you got to put in.
And a lot of those kids, our age, you're 92, I'm 91. A lot of those kids were in the Duck movies too.
Yep.
They were extras. They were the other teams. A lot of those kids in Edina, Bloomington were in those early Duck movies.
Yeah. Because they shot all that stuff right there too.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys, it's 12:20.
All right, it's been fun.
It has been. And I like the technical stuff. If we could just kind of keep rolling, we kind of hold off a little bit. We make do.
Thanks for changing into the laptop, though, Care.
It is a lot better.
It would have been tough.
It feels good. The audio is good.
Well, I just once I got to swear and just that just really helped.
It's a podcast. We can swear. All I have to do is mark it as explicit.
I needed to do that. I was very frustrated and very embarrassed, but that's okay. We'll be good. Thank you for staying up late with me and sweet.
The gut's feeling good.
Nah.
Wine? No.
Drink some water. Go drink some water.
I'll be all right.
One of these.
I didn't even get it down. I only that one.
Yeah, don't push it. Don't push it.
No, I'm
You gotta
not.
heal. It takes
I'm
a long
not.
time.
All right, brothers.
All right, later, guys.
Go Gophers.
Okay.